I'm here at RPT, River Park Towers. And not only are these the tallest buildings in the Bronx, but they're also the birthplace to some of the Bronx's most buzzing rappers. I'm talking about D-Thang G's, I'm talking about Shaw G's, and today we're going to be getting deeper into the story of Bronx drill, how the teenage gangsters rapping about murder are taking over the city.
New York City, it's the birthplace of hip-hop. Ever since August the 11th, 1973, when DJ Kool Herc had a back-to-school party using 2 turntables and a mixer to jump between drum breaks and looping beats, it was this Bronx-based beat-juggling bonanza that cemented the Bronx as the original birthplace of the hip-hop genre. And arguably, it's wider New York City that's the birthplace of American gangsters, with the Italian and Sicilian mafias taking hold of the city's streets in the late 1800s and early 1900s, as well as later on being the birthplace of modern American gangs. While gangster rap first emerged from the streets of Philadelphia, being pioneered by the likes of Schoolie D, it was later popularized in Compton, California by gangster rappers like Ice-T and NWA, Snoop Dogg and Tupac Shakur. Throughout the 90s, many rappers in New York were inspired by the mobsters in their city, making music about the life of crime and painting a picture of the mob life in rap music. The likes of Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z, Mobb Deep and others brought vivid tales of the life as a gangster in New York to people's ears in the form of fire rap music. But the 90s were a long time ago, and in 20 years, gangster rap has changed, since drill music emerged from Chicago, blurring the lines between gangster rapper and real gang violence. Drill music scenes would emerge in Brooklyn, birthing the careers of New York gangster rappers like the late Pop Smoke, Fabio Foreign, and 22 G's, taking inspiration from the UK drill beats that emerged from London. The UK drill and now Bronx drill sounds being generally much more up-tempo than Chicago drill beats, meaning that it's also music that you can dance to, as well as chase your ops to. But while people like Pop Smoke popularized the drill dances of Getting Sturdy, or 22 G's signature twirl, the new generation of Bronx drill rappers have taken the trend of being a dancing gangster rapper to dark new levels, with new dance moves being made up, specifically to mock dead rivals. The new generation was driven by the emergence of 2 exciting new young artists making gangster rap over Bronx drill beats. 2 cousins, ironically on different sides of a decade-long Bronx gang war, K-Flock and D-Thang G's. Ironically, both building an impressive body of work in both rapping and in the streets, with K-Flock still incarcerated to this day on an outstanding murder charge, and D-Thang G's only recently being released on bail facing serious RICO charges in connection with the RPT gang based at the River Park Towers. The lines between gangster and rapper have been blurred constantly over the years. With all of this music and violence spilling into the city, it's no wonder then that the eyes of fans, police, and the mayor are all on drill rappers. Unfortunately, for the authorities, the latest generation of Bronx drill rappers are much more violent, disrespectful, and younger than they've ever been before. With a 14-year-old Bronx drill rapper named Notti tragically being stabbed to death in a subway station, his ops would take to social media, inventing a disrespectful dance move to mimic his murder, going viral in the process, with teenagers all over the world copying the moves and rubbing salt in the wounds of friends and families grieving this tragic loss, with the Notti bot even seemingly being added as a Fortnite emote. But unfortunately, this culture of celebrating murder and literally dancing to celebrate death is catching on in New York City, and the kids are getting sucked into this culture at younger and younger ages, with there being Bronx drill rappers like Sugar Hill Glitch picking up a mic as young as 8 years old and making violent drill music all about hurting and disrespecting your ops. It seems like the city of New York has a big problem on its hands. There are no signs of things getting better. So today we're going to take a closer look at the Bronx drill scene, the major players in it, the most tragic losses, and work out once and for all how the Bronx got taken over by the dancing killer teenagers that are terrorizing the city of New York.
The Bronx was like a world of its own.
In the early 70s, man, crime was like the major income of the Bronx.
Life here is hard. The battle to survive is desperate. The outcome by no means certain. Almost every week is a bad week for the people of the South Bronx, who are mostly black and Puerto Rican.
Oh, presidents come here, look appalled at what they see, make promises, and leave.
President Reagan, in his televised speech on the economy, proposed 83 major program cuts. It was another blow to the South Bronx.
What McLaren saw was called hip-hop, energy in motion that you could not stop.
New sound of the 80s. Suddenly you hear it everywhere. Rap music. It's all beat and all talk. It tells you a story and makes you want to dance.
Audience for rap music is really growing, and its use has broadened beyond mere entertainment.
Because of fear. Fear that what started out as music to inform has turned into music that incites.
We have new developments tonight after a teenager was stabbed to death.
A 16-year-old boy
who was shot to death.
The surveillance video shows 2 suspects wanted for the murder of a Bronx teenager.
19-year-old Tyquil Dougherty was killed in this shooting.
This is surveillance video of one of those victims, just 13 years.
Their rhyming lyrics to a thundering beat are angry, violent, and profane.
I'm 8.
You 8 years old?
The 8-year-old demon, you heard?
They don't want to come out. They know what I do. Bull day, bitch, I'm trying to spin.
Pop out, nigga, we out here. Yo, K-Flock, pop out. Pop out right now. Right now, as we speak. You wanna make shows, you wanna make shows too. Pop out. Water my mother. Pop out.
Basketball players, they so it's about to get lit. Grab their basketball and start leaving.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
The NYPD has released surveillance video of a suspect wanted in a deadly shooting in Harlem. He and the victim went outside to confront him. He was fatally struck in the neck and the back. He was later pronounced dead at Mount Sinai Hospital.
Stop running, Wulani! Come here, Woo!
A 14-year-old boy has died after being stabbed on the platform of a 1 train in Hamilton Heights.
Condolences are pouring in as loved ones leave flowers at the doorstep of slain teen Ethan Reyes.
That a 15-year-old boy is in custody and is facing charges that include murder.
You 8 years old?
Mm-hmm.
And he look like he about to go on a drill. What is all this sign language stuff he doing?
It ain't sign language. I'm from the O's, right?
So in just the last 6 hours or so, there have been 10 shootings. Was a well-known drill rapper here. He died in this shooting around 2:20 this morning.
It's just Bronx. Like y'all know how it is. If you go to school in the Bronx, you turn out differently a little bit.
The Bronx is the northernmost borough of New York City, with the Bronx originally being farmland back in the 19th century, during the time when there were not many houses for people to call home in the Bronx. That's until about 1905, when the subway system arrived, allowing the citizens of the Big Apple to commute more widely. This would cause a construction boom in the Bronx, leading to the development of properties on both sides of the subway, with the population of the Bronx at the time being around 200,000, a number that would quickly grow to around 1.3 million just 25 years later in 1930. This rapid growth can be attributed to a number of European immigrants who came to the US in search of a better life, with a large percentage of these immigrants being Jewish people, who were likely running away from persecution in the Russian Empire before World War II made things much worse. But as a result of these global discriminations going on through this period, the Bronx ended up being 49% Jewish in the 1930s and 1940s. Also around this time, a huge amount of Italian immigrants would come to the US in search of work and a better life, due to high unemployment rates and taxes at the time in Italy. This is actually when we would start seeing Italian mobsters taking over New York City's criminal underworld, with the 5 major mafia families being established officially in 1931. And with this new influx of people, the borough would quickly urbanize. Fast forward a few years later to after World War II, in the 1950s, the Bronx would be seeing a major shift, which led to an economic decline in the area. This was mainly due to the construction of the Cross Bronx Expressway, the 6-mile highway which ripped straight through the South Bronx without regard to the families or businesses that were in its path, with the city removing 1,500 families and tearing down whatever was there. From here, more African Americans would move to the borough during what was known as the Great Migration, a period of time between 1910 and 1970 where millions of black Americans moved from the rural South to more urban areas in the Midwest, the West, and northeastern parts of the US, including New York City. This started a phenomenon that would become known as the white flight, which is where a large number of white people moved out of busy urban areas, a lot of the times opting instead to live in the suburbs, and ultimately having the consequence of a lot of the black and minority citizens being subjected to cramped and unsafe social housing projects, a form of institutional racism that's unfairly impacted black and minority citizens economically. In the 1970s, America went through significant economic stagnation, causing a serious economic upheaval in New York as the city lost hundreds of thousands of jobs and almost went bankrupt in 1975. Consequently, during this time, the city became riddled with high crime rates, and the Bronx in particular became synonymous with gang culture.
It all started up in the Bronx. In the Bronx, it was a deep-rooted gang culture.
In 1971, gang violence had escalated to a fever pitch.
There were gangs literally in every corner. The violence was everywhere. You could hear the shouting at nighttime.
It was a lawless time.
Crime was like the major income of the Bronx.
This is getting out of hand.
During this time, there would be dozens of gangs in the Bronx at this point, like the Savage Skulls, the Savage Nomads, the Black Spades, the Seven Immortals, the Midnight Bachelors, and the Ghetto Brothers. The escalating violence between these gangs would eventually lead to an exceptional peace treaty in 1971, after a member of the Ghetto Brothers called Black Benji, real name Cornell Benjamin, was killed while he was attempting to broker a peace deal between two gangs.
Word of the murder and fear of reprisals spread like wildfire.
All the gangs were there. At the 174th, they were waiting for the big war. We said, no, we're not gonna do anything.
We ain't doing nobody. Gotta figure out how we're gonna do this.
Representatives of over 40 of the city's most notorious gangs met at the Hoe Avenue Boys Club in the Bronx. At the end of this historic summit, an inter-gang peace treaty was signed by every attending leader.
Decades later, in 2023, Black Benji's sacrifice was honored by the city at the corner of 165th Street and Rogers Place, where Benji was killed, with the street actually being named in his memory. The peace treaty is often credited for bringing an era in the Bronx where the youth would finally get a chance to focus on more positive endeavors, including the arts, which would eventually lead also to the flourishing of the hip-hop culture.
Peaceful block parties hosted by the Ghetto Brothers and other local gangs began to multiply, helping to dissolve the invisible turf boundaries that had dominated for years prior.
Here's where the whole thing started to change.
However, the gangs weren't by far the only thing popping in the Bronx during the 1970s, as this was a dark decade where much of the borough was being burnt down, with some greedy landlords actually burning down their own properties in the hopes to collect insurance money, leaving thousands homeless in the already poor borough.
We grew up with burnt out decay all over us.
The South Bronx was burning down around us, and nobody seemed to know why.
Everything south of the Cross Bronx Expressway, they just let it burn, and nobody gave a damn.
And all of a sudden, neighborhoods just went whoosh, gone.
Nobody's aware of the fact that we got a city dump right here in the backyard.
Then in the 80s, the crack epidemic hit the USA by storm, affecting almost every major city in the country. But crack had a particularly big impact in New York, and as the drug rose in popularity, so too did the violent crime surrounding it. During this time, Ed Koch was elected as mayor, who focused on leading the city out of a severe fiscal crisis through austerity measures and revisiting the economy. And while he did restore some hope for the city, Ed's tenure as mayor did not come without its fair share of controversy. Scandals would begin that painted the mayor in a new light, as Koch's tenure was marked by strained race relations in New York City, with him at one point declaring that all black people were anti-Semitic and adding that Jewish people would be crazy to vote for Jesse Jackson. Koch was also highly criticized for the handling of the 1983 police shooting of Eleanor Bumpus, an elderly black woman who was dealing with mental illness. People believe that the investigation of this case was not impartial, due to the fact that the NYPD led the investigation for the shooting of Eleanor Bumpus. That, along with the fact that there was no body cam at this time, caused a justifiable raise of concern for this case, especially when 4 years later in 1987, the officer that shot Eleanor, Stephen Sullivan, was acquitted of all charges and reinstated back into the NYPD with full gun privileges. People believe that Koch should have stepped in and called for an internal investigation on this matter. This, along with numerous other scandals, the once good public perception of Koch would change to corruption and greed. And in the late 1980s and 90s, we would see the rise of new gangs such as the Latin Kings, who traveled to New York from Chicago, as well as the Bloods and Crips, who migrated to New York from Los Angeles. These gangs would move to various neighborhoods in Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Harlem, and all three gangs were involved in drug trafficking, violence, and recruitment of young members from marginalized communities. The rivalry between the Bloods and Crips in New York for a time would mirror the intense conflict seen on the West Coast, contributing to the increased gang violence in the city. And as the 90s was coming to an end, we would see a drop in violent crimes in the Bronx, this mainly being attributed to the decline of the crack epidemic, as well as an increase in police technology. And as we head towards the present day, the gangs of New York would begin to fragment, with a lot of gangs losing the structure that they once had, breaking off into smaller sets. Another major difference is the activities of the gangs. While drug dealing is still a major part of the criminal enterprise of these gangs, instead of crack, gangs would get into selling opioids, which is the predominant substance abuse epidemic that plagues the globe in the present day. In 2022, Eric Adams was inaugurated as the mayor of New York, and his time as mayor has been filled with controversy too. Since Adams became mayor in 2022, several concerning statistics and trends have emerged. For instance, robberies and felony assaults rose by 30% and 15% respectively in 2022 compared to the previous year, which was apparently caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected the whole world. But Mayor Adams doesn't seem to make this link, with people accusing him of fear fear-mongering and hinting that New York is actually more dangerous than it actually is. The perception of safety on the subway system has also been a significant issue. Despite Adams' focus on improving subway safety, major crimes on the subway increased by 30% in 2022 compared to 2021, according to NYPD data. Adams would actually go to the Breakfast Club to address these concerns and attempt to clean up his image a little bit, but when he got there, he would be met by Oloyemi Olurin, a progressive attorney and advocate who challenged Adams on his rhetoric surrounding subway crime. She accused him of sensationalizing isolated incidents.
Yeah. I think you're right that there is a difference between perception and fact and how people feel about safety and the way people feel about the subways. And I think it's your own rhetoric about the subways that has a lot to do with why people feel scared, despite the fact that millions of people ride the subway every day without incident. But you've continued to fearmonger about crime in the subways. You've added 2,000 police officers, despite the fact that you've acknowledged that the subways are not that dangerous.
When asked about it, Mayor Adams would kind of evade the question by asking another question.
Well, let's go before. First of all, I would love to give me the quotes on my rhetoric, because I'm lost on that. Can you give me the quotes?
Oh, that you fearmonger about the subways? Yeah, you've consistently done that since the day one of your administration. One of the first things you did was add 1,000 officers to the subway because you claimed that the subways are unrideable. You and Hochul did this and said how dangerous it is, and you recently did that when you deployed the National Guard.
Sister, but that wasn't my question, Queen. My question was, what was my fear mongering?
He would then go on to explain that her beliefs are not the overwhelming beliefs in the city.
You may say, Eric, I don't want to see a visible president of a uniform officer, and that's cool, but that's not what the overwhelming number of New Yorkers are saying.
To which she would respond with statistics proving how the city actually feels.
And I'm saying to you, the New York City comptroller, Brad Lander, recently put out a report finding that 50% of the city is disappointed and does not feel safe based on your rhetoric about the subways and your over-police presence.
As of September 2024, Mayor Adams has been indicted for federal corruption. And while we'll likely see things play out in the court, regardless of the status of Eric Adams' role as mayor of the city, corrupt or not, the reality is whoever the mayor of the city is, they can't really do that much about the underlying culture in the streets of New York. The city's decades-long history of gangs operating in the streets mean that the gangs don't really care if the mayor is Rudy Giuliani or Eric Adams. They're still going to get busy and do what they gotta do. But one of the most interesting developments in the streets of New York City over the last 10 years is the progression of the music scene, more specifically, the emergence and evolution of drill music communities, starting in Brooklyn and eventually spreading to the Bronx. The Chicago-inspired subgenre we all know as drill music would ultimately end up grabbing hold of the city of New York, influencing generation after generation of teenage New York gangsters who were getting busy in the streets to pick up a microphone and start describing their lives too. So let's jump forward now and trace back the rise of murder music in New York to determine how and why gangsters started rapping there, and exactly why the rapping killers of New York City just keep getting younger and younger. To trace the history of drill music in New York, we have to trace the origins of the genre back to other cities. Now, here's a super concise breakdown for you. So hip-hop first emerged from the Bronx in New York. Ironically, the first hip-hop coming out the city had an anti-violence and anti-drug undertone that was seen positively by the media, unlike the nihilistic punk rock. But eventually, that positive message underlying the sentiments of early rap would end up getting twisted. The first gangster rappers that pioneered the genre out of Philadelphia was named Schoolie D, with his song PSK being all about the life of living around the Philly street gang, the Parkside Killers, giving the whole world one of the earliest lyrical glimpses into gang life ever. However, once the genre of hip-hop reached the gang-infested streets of South Central Los Angeles, the home of the Bloods and the Crips, that soon became the premier outlet for young gang-affiliated rappers to vent about the pitfalls of their lives in the streets. People like Ice-T and of course NWA gave the world a window into the dangerous life they were living on those streets, and the authorities would be furious about these tales of police brutality, batarams destroying the family homes of suspected gangsters, and seeming celebrations of gang-related crimes, drug dealing and black-on-black crime, which led to frantic but fruitless efforts by the authorities to ban the new emerging subgenre. But over the years, many gangster rappers would emerge in New York City too, like South Bronx-based Boogie Down Productions, who emerged dropping their Criminal Minded LP, which gave the world an early look at gangster rap, detailing their life on the underworld of New York's Bronx, with KRS-One making the song on the album 9mm Goes Bang, which became an underground classic and a watershed moment for gangster rap in New York, as the song described gangster life and using firearms with a level of detail usually reserved for gangster movies from that era. These gangster rappers were using the beat as a canvas and painting vivid pictures of life as a gangster that they were living in the real-life streets of New York. And what the gangster rappers were talking about was real life, not fictionalized renditions of gang life from movies. And over the next decade, gangster rap would flourish in New York, and a number of now iconic artists would emerge from the city with their gritty depictions of the city's darkest corners. Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full was a landmark project in the genre. Eric B. actually grew up with Cool G Rap, who made his own mark on gangster rap, with a New York flavor and influences from New York's Italian-American gangsters, birthing the subgenre of gangster rap, mafioso rap, that preceded an entire wave of slick gangster rappers from the city. People like Big L, Big Pun, Mobb Deep, Nas, and of course the notorious B.I.G. or Biggie, whose deadly feud with Tupac from the West Coast ended up with both of them dead, showing fans for the first time that beef on gangster rap records can lead to real bullets flying in the real world. But since Biggie, many rappers have emerged from New York telling their tales of life as a gangster or drug dealer. Naturally, people like Jay-Z would take this to the greatest heights ever seen, while people like the Wu-Tang Clan would create something incredibly creative, more akin to a Marvel comic book universe than a rap persona, fictionalizing the dangerous streets of New York through the metaphorical lens of Shaolin warriors. And while the bling era of the late 90s and early 2000s saw rap turn from worshipping gangsters and criminals to worshipping money, Cash Money Records would be the pinnacle of this, and southern artists like Lil Wayne and his crew would become the poster childs for using rap to get rich and bragging about it. With New York also showing out during this era with the likes of Cameron and his group Dipset, who loved to flash out wearing fancy clothes and jewelry, but beneath the drip were hints towards criminality being used to pay for and protect these flashy fits. But at the turn of the millennium, one man would bring gangster rap back to New York in a very big way. A street player named 50 Cent, who was shot 9 times by his ops but survived, would go on one of the biggest runs in rap history, ultimately becoming the poster child for rapping gangsters. And after 50 made rapping shooters cool once again, over in Atlanta, the drug dealer rapper persona begun to boom, as trap music emerged, which saw rappers dropping lyrics about selling drugs out of abandoned houses and gas stations, all over booming beats that you could dance to. People like T.I., Gucci Mane, OJ the Juice Man, and Waka Flocka made trapping cool and made gangster rap that you could actually play in the strip club rather than in a cypher. Trap music didn't really make its way to New York in a major way, although there were some artists who brought its flavors to the city's rapscape, such as the rapper Frenchie from Gucci Mane's original 1017 Brick Squad, who hails from the notorious South Jamaica Houses projects in Queens. Then, in the early 2010s in Chicago, teenage rappers like Chief Keef and Lil Durk would begin rapping over Atlanta trap beats all about the violence going on in their city, one of the most dangerous cities in America. And soon, Chicago drill would develop its own sound, with ultra-violent lyrics about real-life murders that you could look up and read about on Google, in the local news, and later on Reddit. And the drill rappers would tell these stories all over menacing and booming beats that added a heroic dose of aggression to the Atlanta trap wave. Soon, Chicago drill culture would spread all over the world and find its own unique sound. But it's impossible to talk about New York drill without mentioning the man who really put the genre on before it even existed, Bobby Shmurda. Because in 2014, Bobby dropped the legendary track Hot N-Word. But rather than rapping on a drill beat as we know it today, Bobby actually kept it New York and rapped on an old Lloyd Banks beat. But the track itself was riddled with references to real-life activities that members of Bobby's gang, GS9, were actually doing in the streets. Bobby Shmurda went on a legendary run that's almost unheard of in the rap game, but it would be short-lived, because before the year was up, Bobby was arrested and charged with conspiracy, reckless endangerment, drug and gun possession, with many of the lyrics from the song that made him a household name being circulated as open admissions of the crimes that he was allegedly involved in. Bobby Shmurda would ultimately wind up serving 7 years inside, eventually getting released, much to the delight of his fans, as well as me personally, as I recently bumped into Bobby Shmurda while I was in New York, getting duly smoked on sight with a giant Kush cannon. But anyway, Bobby's incarceration left the New York drill scene without a marquee rapper, and no one really came up in 2015 to fill this void. But then, 2016, a young Brooklyn rapper named 22G's begun making waves in the city. But after seeing 22's success, it wouldn't be long before his ops would start getting some music out there of their own. In May 2017, 22G's closest enemy, Chef G, would shake up the drill scene himself when he dropped his breakout track No Suburban, which was a direct response to 22G's song titled Suburban. In the song, Chef G raps about leaving a blicky sticky before joking, you know how them blickies quick, apparently referring to a time that an op pulled up on 22G's, making him run away. Now, I covered the beef between 22G's New York GD set Blicky Gang and Chef G's Crip set Movin' Gang in another video on my channel, so go check that out if you want the whole story. But 22G's is affiliated with the Gangster Disciples. Originally coming from Chicago, they made their way to New York and became part of an alliance called the True Alliance of Gangs that 22G's crew was part of. Now, many people cite 22G's tracks from this year as the beginning of New York drill, as it is today, because 22G's was one of the very first rappers in New York to start rapping over UK-type drill beats. You see, back in the UK, gangster rap was still a much less developed genre, but in the underground, street rappers had been honing their skills in the form of road rap for years. But when the UK road rappers begun experimenting with Chicago drill beats and telling their tales of violence in their hoods, the scene would begin to find its own voice. The UK drill producers would make beats inspired by both Chicago drill's booming drums and dark melodies, but adding some UK flavor, inspired by dance music subgenres like garage, house, jungle, and dubstep, to create high-tempo yet aggressive beats that UK drill rappers could rap double time to. And despite UK rappers having a unique flavor that doesn't always hit for a US audience, the beats beats that these UK drill producers were making was a completely original sound that appealed to rappers from any country. And soon back in New York, the up-and-coming drill rappers in Brooklyn would discover this new style of high-tempo drill cooked up in the UK via YouTube. 22G's was indeed one of the earliest pioneers of UK-inspired Brooklyn drill, with him picking some of the best beats from the UK early in his career. But 22G's wasn't the only one. There was also Fabio Foreign, who along with JD and D-Sav dropped a track aimed at 22G's in his set, The Blickies, titled Blicky in a Box, a reference to putting members of the Blicky set in a coffin. Blicky in a Box was huge in the city, with many people still considering it to be one of the best drill tracks in Brooklyn drill history. The song was a massive step forward for all of the Wu rappers, Wu being a group of gangs that are in opposition to the Chu gangs that 22G's crew is related to. But from here, one of Fabio Foreign's friends from the Wu would later emerge to become one of the most biggest and impactful artists in Brooklyn drill history. I'm of course talking about Pop Smoke, who made hit records on beats that were unmistakably UK at heart, particularly because they were produced by UK producers, with Pop Smoke's runaway hit Dior being one of the first times that a UK drill beat had garnered mainstream success in the American rap industry. The song was produced by the English producer 808 Mello, with Pop Smoke actually finding his beats on YouTube whilst looking for something to rap on. He started using 808 Mello's beats without paying or even realizing that he was based in England. After his song started to blow up, Mello would hit up Pop Smoke for a little compensation and recognition, and from there a close relationship would form between them. This led to a string of hits from the two, with Pop Smoke's run in the rap game being impeccable from the very start. It was at the end of 2018 when he dropped his first track, NPR, Money, Power, Respect, with Pop's unique, deep-voiced and impressive flow making the track an instant hit. 2019 was definitely a good year to be a New York gangster rapper, and after 6ix9ine's infamous snitching scandal, this made room for genuine New York gangsters with real street resumes to take the spotlight. And despite being new to rapping, Pop Smoke was more than ready for the limelight. Pop was dropping hit after hit in 2019, with Welcome to the Party and Dior making huge amounts of noise. Meanwhile, Fabio Foreign was building on his success from the previous year, dropping the viral track Big Drip, which as of recording has around 90 million views. For the first time, rappers repping gangs outside of the Wu or Chu alliance were also starting to make waves, particularly Busy Banks, who blew up in the summer of 2019. At the end of 2019, the Chu saw success as well, with 22G's track Suburban Part 2 blowing up on TikTok, and in the 2020s, the Wu, who had been dominating the New York drill scene and the rap industry as a whole, would unfortunately suffer a tragic loss, as on the 19th of February that year, Pop Smoke was killed during a burglary of his Airbnb. This was a turning point for New York drill, and many felt that it could be the end of the scene's success. 2020 was kind of a tough year for drill. After the loss of Pop Smoke, people were looking for the next big thing. And briefly, a new artist called CJ would capture the scene again in summer of 2020 when he dropped his viral hit Whoopty. Although this track did get a lot more eyes onto the Brooklyn drill scene, in some ways it did more harm than good, because a lot of people questioned CJ's gangster persona, and it didn't take long for other more authentic New York drill rappers like 22G's to expose CJ as a fraud and calling him out for faking his affiliations to New York gangs. This would hurt the scene as a whole, as it brought the credibility of New York drill rappers into question. But after CJ's hype died down, the newest generation of genuinely gang-affiliated teenage drill rappers have taken the torch, with many of the biggest names of this generation coming from the Bronx themselves, and popularizing the new term for this generation of rappers as Bronx drill. People like D-Thang G's, Shah G's, Didi Osama, and of course K-Flock, just to name a few. These rappers blended the high-tempo UK drill type drums with samples from famous songs from all different eras of music, and choosing to rap over these with an aggressive shouting kind of delivery, which is much more at home in rock or metal than rap music. While rock music and metal music has impacted New York rap for decades, with the likes of Beastie Boys and DMX both infusing elements of rock music into their raps, what's going on with Bronx drill rappers today is a whole nother level of untamed aggression on the mic. And that brings us to the Bronx drill scene of today, where these teenage rappers dominate drill so much that it's actually become the mainstream sound in pop music, with pop sensation Ice Spice actually being able to make a name for herself by rapping over these same style of high-tempo aggressive drill beats, but using her lyrics not to rap about violence, but instead boys and love. Whether it's her debut hit Munch or the Barbie theme that she did with Nicki Minaj, these are UK drill type beats that evolved from Chicago and Atlanta melodies, meeting UK dance music and the street culture of the Bronx and Brooklyn. Ice Spice arguably took Bronx drill sound and imagery into the pop world and to the very top of the Billboard charts, and as a result, this genre is truly here to stay. But what a lot of Ice Spice fans probably don't know is just how much dark and brutal violence had to take place for the Bronx drill scene that made her famous to actually come about. So now you know how the music came to be, let's take a closer look at some of the people running this scene and find out why making drill music, especially in New York, is one of America's most dangerous professions. Once drill music reached Brooklyn, the likes of Pop Smoke, 22Gs, and Fabio Foreign made gangster rap cool in New York once again, and making music that gave the world a glimpse into the dangerous gang lifestyles of the rappers living there. For a period of time, the borough of Brooklyn was New York's drill capital, but that changed in 2021 with the rise of Bronx drill, with rappers like K-Flock and Dougie B from the Bronx, who had been making music since 2020, beginning to see mainstream success. In 2021, K-Flock, Dougie B, and B Love dropped Brotherly Love, which blew up. This track put the spotlight on this emerging trio of drillers cooking up street music in the Bronx, and they begun carrying the torch for the New York drill scene. K-Flock followed up that success with an even bigger hit when he dropped his song Is You Ready, the hyper-aggressive drill anthem, which is arguably one of the most energizing drill songs ever to be made. K-Flock shouted his way through the song with the energy of a drill sergeant of drills over a booming beat that guaranteed to make the striker shake. But the song being a drill anthem meant that it of course included pointed disses towards his rivals in the Bronx too. But K-Flock's connection to these particular ops would gain a lot of attention, because K-Flock and his friends are from Sevside, a hood around East 187th Street with a set in the area known as 700 DOA. D-Thang G's, who was not only K-Flock's op but also his cousin, hails from an infamous New York project building called the River Park Towers, or RPT, with a notorious gang coming out of that block called the YGs, hence the name D-Thang G's. D-Thang would become a popping Bronx drill rapper in his own right off the back of his massive song Caution. This high energy anthem, one of my favourite songs out of the Bronx drill scenes, put D-Thang on the map too, and once these two beefing cousins blew up, they would find themselves in a bitter feud in the streets with their friends on respective sides of the war actively sliding and trying to kill each other, all while they were making music about it. Now if you want an even more detailed breakdown of this situation, you can go and watch my full documentary Murder in a Montclair for the whole background. But for now, let me give you a quick recap, because on the track Is You Ready, K-Flock raps I could do shh like Ice did to Sonny, a reference to Ice who kidnapped his nephew Sonny in the movie Paid in Full.
I could do like Ice did to Sonny.
With K-Flock basically saying that he doesn't care if they're family, he will still slide on his cousin. The two cousins' feud would become a staple mark of this new drill scene, as fascinated fans would flock to the scene to learn more about this deadly family feud. The beef between D-Thang's YGs and K-Flock's DOA crew had been running for years by this point and had already gotten deadly. One of the earliest incidents of serious violence between these two groups occurred on the 7th of April 2020, when a YG's member named Wu Lotti, real name Glenn Cole, was walking in Sugar Hill with other YGs, ultimately being caught by enemies around 1 AM. When a car full of another set of rivals beefing with the YGs, the OGs, pulled up, chasing Wu Lotti and his friends with broomsticks, trash cans, and knives. Lotti would trip over and the gang set upon him furiously. He would be left with stab wounds to his torso and thigh, later dying in a Harlem hospital.
Investigation underway in Harlem after a man was stabbed to death. It happened just before 1 this morning on West 154th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue. Authorities say officers found the man with multiple stab wounds to his torso and legs. His identity yet to be released, and no arrests have been made.
Two people were initially arrested, a 28-year-old and a 16-year-old. The man was William Hopetoun, quickly identified by police after renting the zip car used in the crime in his name, with cops later arresting a total of 5 people in connection to the crime. During this period, K-Flock was a menace in the streets, regularly spinning his various ops blocks on IG Live, pulling up to their buildings and trying to draw out the ops for a shootout.
Come outside, we in front of our building. Look, we in front of our building. I wish when y'all over here, we just shot when y'all face, we never went love. He live in this building, y'all. I feel like a warrior. Bro, I'm not going like the no ops. What am I, mom? Making a movie on live. If I gotta die, what am I, that means? Well, I'm on a block, Tolo. I'm on a block. I'm on a block. I'm on a block.
Things would truly heat up in the streets between DOA and the YGs in 2020 and 2021, when a bloody back and forth took place that saw numerous young men losing their lives on both sides. On September the 10th, 2020, 17-year-old named Kethel Wirtz, aka K-Dub or Dubski, was walking on the street in Hoe Avenue in Crotona when he was confronted by 2 masked gunmen. He tried to run but tripped and was shot multiple times, later passing away in hospital.
Loved ones lit candles and shared stories of 17-year-old Kethel Wirtz.
He was a cool dude, always laughing. He never bothered nobody unless he had to.
Yeah, that's a fact.
He was just a chill guy.
The whole crime was caught on camera, but it's far too violent to show you on YouTube.
Surveillance video shows the moments leading up to his death on Hoe Avenue in Crotona. One of the suspects was also seen shortly after walking on Southern Boulevard. A motive is still unclear. Take a good look at this video. Police are hoping someone recognizes the 2 men.
The cops would later make an arrest, with later unconfirmed speculation circulating that the killer was indeed from Sevside. However, only days later, there would be another killing seemingly carried out by YG's affiliates. On September the 12th, 2020, 23-year-old Christopher Pagan, aka Yellow, was in a parked car at Jackson Houses on Park Avenue near East 158th Street in Melrose when a gunman approached and opened fire. One man was shot and survived. However, Yellow was hit once in the head and once in the shoulder, leaving him dead at the scene. The YGs would mock Yellow after his death and would begin to reference his name in songs too. 3 people were arrested for the crime, 2 being the shooters and 1 for providing the weapon and driving them, with the younger YGs member implicated in the killing of Yellow actually being caught and confronted on camera outside of court by B Love himself.
B Love, you talking about come across the street? I came to court with it. I flopped you, throw that up one more time. You talking about? What you talking about? Come across the street. Come across the street. What you talking about? Suck my G's up.
This video was taken by the YGs as a big provocation against the group, and from there the violence would only get worse. But during this time, K-Flock and D-Thang would also go back and forth personally. At the start of 2021, fans would see D-Thang and K-Flock hopping on live together, arguing about who has the best lean and smoke.
You never had this.
That's that mud! That's that mud! That's that mud!
Stupid, yeah.
I'm muddy!
Things would get seriously dark in 2021 when a feud between DOA and an infamous YGs member called Rajiz would spiral out of control. In June of 21, K-Flock went live beefing with Rajiz of the YGs, asking why Rajiz told D-Thang that he shot K in the stomach, with Rajiz saying K-Flock is a snitch for airing out their street beef on live.
What'd you do, Rob?
What am I down? I might go say woman just coming in my face.
I don't believe you nothing you say, because you said, what are you dead? You clapped me in my stomach.
And you over there capping in your raps.
You Jackie, you shot me in my stomach.
What am I dead?
Oh. Word of my mother, I had my cousin on this. D-Thing even told me. That's who told me. My cousin said you shot me in my stomach before.
Get me on IG with 1,500 views, say I shot him. Oh, you high?
You talking about high? It's nothing on my stomach.
You want me to say I shot you with 1,600 views, right?
What?
Right?
You never did nothing to me. You never.
I ain't gonna lie, this man going to jail. Do you not hear what he said?
Then on June the 20th, K-Flock's big track, What Y'all Wanna Do, aka Power, releases, with a name and sample borrowed from the famous Kanye song of the same name. In the track, K disses Ra Ra, aka Rajiz, saying that they saw each other and Ra didn't shoot him, and he would also reference Wu Lotti tripping up before he was killed, with K-Flock saying openly that he's a demon and that he spins through the Bronx trying to kill people. 3 days later, on June the 23rd, Rajiz would drop a song with Nesty Flocks, responding to this, and the track is full of disses aimed at K-Flock. On June the 28th, Rajiz would tease a snippet to another song dissing K-Flock on his Instagram, and then a few days later, after D-Thang's latest track, K-Flock would go on IG Live, spinning through the 800 block, which is YG's territory.
They gonna come through here. They right there. They don't wanna come out. They know what I do. Boy, they be trying to spin.
Look how comfortable I am on this vlog.
All in there. Basketball players. They so it's about to get lit. Grab their basketball and started leaving.
Immediately after that clip began to circulate, Rajiz himself would then go live, saying that he's waiting outside for K-Flock to pull up.
Somebody tag K-Flock. Somebody tag K-Flock. It's not playing. Come right back. Outside right now as we speak. You coming through hard and on live, blocking your live. See your like, what's up? Pop out. Outside here. Yo, K-Flock, pop out. Pop out right now. Right now as we speak. You wanna make shows? You gonna make shows too? Pop out. What am I mother? Pop out right now. Pop out right now. Nigga, where you at? Come up here. Where you at? Like, where you at? You wanna do weird shit? I wish I'd have sued you. You wanna go live on my block and I let nigga you on my block? Like, nigga, I worry about you.
Sadly, from here the consequences of this war would get deadly, but not for K-Flock. On the 7th of July 2021 at 11:35 PM, a 19-year-old rapper associated with the YGs, who went by the name Ty Swish, real name Tyquil Doherty, was in the lobby of his apartment on Prospect Avenue near East 182nd Street in Belmont. Here he was confronted by an unknown assailant who shot him in the eye as he attempted to flee, but his injuries were too much and he would collapse on the street, apparently being found dead outside of his own home by his mother.
19-year-old Tyquil Doherty was killed in this shooting. He was shot in the head and lived in this apartment building. He seemed to be walking in the doorway when he was shot in the head and killed.
Now, it's unclear exactly what Ty Swish's affiliations were or who killed him. However, a retaliatory attack would take place just 4 days later, with the target being a 13-year-old Jarian Elliott, aka J-Rip or J-Rip-K, an affiliate of the Crips from the Sev side, who according to police was actually at the scene of Ty Swish's murder, and who had recently been seen on live with gang members. At around 3:15 PM on July the 11th, 2021, a black sedan pulled up to 743 East 187th Street near Prospect Avenue, where people would open fire on two boys on the street, with CCTV surveillance showing a man firing across the street in broad daylight. One of the boys was struck once in the chest and once in the ankle, attempting to run while the shooter fled. Jarian, aka J-Rip, attempted to find safety in the nearby Angel's Cafe as panicked customers tried to save his life, with the entire ordeal being caught on video, but it's far too shocking to show you on YouTube.
Surveillance shows Jerron Elliott in red pants. Shots zing through the air. Within seconds, he scrambles inside a restaurant. A crowd surrounds him. Police say he got shot in the ankle and chest.
He would sadly lose his life en route to the hospital, being pronounced dead on arrival, killed only weeks before his 14th birthday.
Police marked multiple shell casings inside and outside Angel's Cafe as they gathered evidence throughout the evening. Surveillance video from across the street captured some of that chaos as an ambulance brought the young victim to the hospital, where he would be pronounced dead. The victim lived only a block away and was identified as 13-year-old Jarian Elliott. Outside his building tonight, candles glow in the shape of his initials, J.E.
Following his death, the news circulated an image supposedly depicting him holding a handgun and repeating reports that he claimed to be a rolling crip, and reporting that he'd been arrested 8 times by the young age of 13, and that he was indeed the intended target of the attack. J-Rip was a close friend of K-Flock apparently, with K later posting throwback clips of them play fighting.
Yo, you supposed to be my man.
Nah, why you talk like that on Facebook, bro?
Alright, bro, what I put on your,
bro,
what I put on your timeline.
What?
And what I put on your timeline and say, yo, Happy New Year, big bro.
Ops like D-Thang would later say they're smoking J-Rip, but even worse was Sharjeez, who went to the death site kicking over J-Rip's mural. A 16-year-old who was unnamed was later taken into custody for the shooting.
16-year-old boy has been arrested and charged with the murder of a Bronx teen. Investigators say the gunman shot and killed 13-year-old Jarian Elliott last month on East 187th Street in the Belmont section. Police say the shooting was gang-related and that Elliott was the intended target.
With the rumored shooter being a 16-year-old YG's member named Dolo G's, accompanied by Raji's. But the cops wouldn't pick up Dolo for the crime until the following month. Unfortunately for Raji's, the police wouldn't be able to catch up with him before his enemies could. It's said that Ra was at the scene of J-Rip's murder, and therefore was a target for retaliation. If the police knew this, the ops certainly did too. So apparently less than 10 hours after the murder of J-Rip, on July the 11th, 2021, a 16-year-old Ra, aka Raji's, real name Ramon Gil Medrano, was on the way to a music studio. At around 11:35 p.m, he sat in the back of a cab at East 178th Street at Valentine Avenue in Mount Hope, when he's ambushed by 2 young men riding scooters who opened fire into the car, striking him in the head and chest and leaving him for dead instantly. Making things even more shocking, the cab driver's CCTV passenger camera was rolling at the time of the attack, capturing Raji's point-blank assassination in full HD with audio. But obviously I can't show you that on YouTube.
Overnight, a boy murdered in the back of a taxi in the Bronx. Police say 2 suspects riding on a scooter opened fire on the cab, killing the 16-year-old in front of the driver, who was not hurt.
Raji's would lose his life at the hands of other teenagers involved in the same gang war, with this apparently coming the same day he took the life of a teenager 3 years younger than him. In less than a week, 3 youngsters caught in the cycle of violence lost their lives as part of this gang war. At ages so young, I struggle to even believe any of them really had an idea or appreciation of the dangerous lifestyle they'd been born into. But despite the bad things that all of the youngsters involved in this story had allegedly done, I've got the utmost sympathy for them. They never had a choice or the proper guidance to avoid this terrible outcome at such a young age. D-Thang would mourn following the news of his YG's brother losing his life, and other members from the crew mourn the loss as well. Meanwhile, their ops like K-Flock would brag that they are smoking Ra. Others would tag K-Flock's music, referencing the incident, and some suggested that Raji's had said that he was smoking J-Rip after his death, and that now he will get to meet him. It was only a week after the murder of Raji's when K-Flock released his breakout song Is You Ready, catapulting him to the top of the drill scene. But K-Flock had gained infamy amid a backdrop of serious death and destruction, and D-Thang wasn't far behind, clapping back with disrespectful songs of his own. On September the 28th, 2021, D-Thang drops the song Talk Facts, a track which uses a sample of Somebody I Used to Know by Gautier, combined with a booming drill beat. This beat is incredible, and if you know the sample, it's immediately recognizable. But just as the ATK rappers from Jacksonville had used a catchy sample of Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles to get everyone singing along to lyrics about their dead ops, D-Thang did the same thing and used this sample to deliver an onslaught of offensive and disturbing lyrics aimed at his rivals. This song cemented D-Thang's place as a leading voice in the Bronx drill scene too, but it was also an indication of heightening tensions in the streets, and only a day after this song released, another young man associated with the Bronx drill scene on K-Flock's side would lose their life again in the most tragic circumstances. On the 29th of September 2021, a Rolling 80s Crip affiliate, 16-year-old Nas Roller, real name Naziah Sanchez, who had allegedly mocked the deceased YG's member Raji's in a Facebook post, was standing on a busy street with another man on East 187th Street near Prospect Avenue, just across the street from where J-Rip had been killed. At 12:50 p.m, 2 men jumped out of a Honda Accord, shooting him in the head and chest. Nas would lay lay in the street surrounded by shocked members of the public and emergency medical staff who desperately tried to save his life, but they were unfortunately unsuccessful, and Nas would later pass away in St. Barnabas Hospital, with this very not safe for life crime scene being recorded and uploaded to Reddit, once again way too raw to show you on YouTube. This was a truly disturbing scene, and much like the stories that I've covered in Chicago, where brazen assassinations kill ops in broad daylight, leaving members of the public traumatized in the process, drives home just how little care is really given to human life in these deadly gang wars. After this, K-Flock would pay tribute to his fallen friend, while others would repost Nas's earlier post saying Raji's can't answer the phone, asking Nas to do the same now. D-Thang and the YGs would go on Instagram and mock Nas following the news.
Smoking Nas! Yo! My brother Nas!
As well as that live, D-Thang would make a post suggesting that Nas was sacrificed, while others made posts tributing Raji's. Things were truly out of control at this point, and having lost so many friends to the streets, K-Flock was on go, ready to shoot at a moment's notice. And repping a gang that's EBK meant that K-Flock would need to be ready to defend against a multitude of gangs in the streets. And unfortunately, soon he would be confronted in the streets and make a life-changing decision that would bring his career to a grinding halt. On December the 16th, 2021, K-Flock is walking with a woman through Sugar Hill, which is the OY territory, another gang that K-Flock's EBK crew has beef with. And this is only a block away from where E.Baby shot the Ready for War video. In fact, just before this incident took place, K-Flock was allegedly on FaceTime with an enemy, posting on social media that he has a gun in his coat, the exact spot where that music video was filmed. According to 1090 Jake, this video was filmed only a few minutes away from where the actual incident took place, because seemingly moments after that video was made, K-Flock is spotted walking by 24-year-old Oscar Hernandez, also known as OY Walker, who comes out of a barbershop and confronts K-Flock, asking him what is he looking at. The security footage that's currently available doesn't show exactly what happens next, as K-Flock is off screen, but a moment later, the victim appears to be shot, flying back and landing on the ground with incredible force in another clip that I can't show you on YouTube. OY Walker would be shot in the neck and back, later passing away at Mount Sinai Hospital. Following the killing, people began to pay respects to OY Walker, unaware that the most famous rapper in the community might have actually been responsible. E-Dot would go on to post mourning Walker and updating his IG to pay respects, saying everything for Waska. Police would immediately begin investigating the killing. Unfortunately for the shooter, their expensive designer fit was caught on camera, and a day after the incident, the police would release an image of the suspect and the outfit.
Surveillance video of a suspect wanted in a deadly shooting in Harlem. The incident took place yesterday morning on 151st Street and Amsterdam Avenue. According to police, Oscar Hernandez was inside a barbershop when the gunman opened the door and asked him, quote, "What are you looking at?" And the victim went outside to confront him. He was fatally struck in the neck and the back. He was later pronounced dead.
And it was only a matter of time before they pieced things together, and soon a wanted poster was issued for K-Flock himself, with him facing second-degree murder charges. K had been seen on social media saying that he wants to get any outstanding recording done before he takes some time away, and on December the 23rd, K-Flock surrendered to officers at the 30th Precinct, only 2 minutes away from where the shooting occurred, and the NYPD would ultimately confirm that their well-dressed murder suspect was finally in custody. K-Flock was charged with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. And these charges would rock the drill community, with fans and fellow artists expressing shock and disbelief. As of right now, K-Flock is still awaiting trial for this murder charge, and his sudden downfall from the top of the budding Bronx drill scene represented a huge loss of potential. While I was in New York, I actually went to the location where K-Flock caught this murder charge to try and get an idea of exactly how it must have felt to have been on that block when this confrontation went down. A bit lower down so you can kind of get me in the frame, like kind of crouch. It was right here at the mini market where the most buzzing rapper in the Bronx, K-Flock, made a split-second decision that could well change his life.
Like, how does it feel to be in the actual spots of like places you've documented and stuff?
You know what, it's harrowing, man, because it's like you don't even realize the repercussions of these situations and how deep they go, bro. I wouldn't have expected we'd have come to the store where this situation happened and the store shut down, and it looks like it's probably shut down because of this situation.
That's what it looks like.
It just goes to show you, man, this like the repercussions are much deeper than a man losing their life or anything like that, bro. You got
someone's lost their business.
Someone's lost their business over this situation, and it's deeper than you could even imagine, you know.
And the worst part is this looks like a kind of nice area. Well, I don't know about nice, but it looks like a decent area. So it's mad that these things happen around here, innit?
That's what's crazy. Is like we were kind of like, I was thinking, is it shook? Like I don't know, I might not wear my watch, but I feel quite safe around here, to be honest with you. I mean,
calm still.
It was right here outside of this mini market when the Bronx's most buzzing rapper K-Flock made a split-second decision that could well change his entire life. He's still facing murder charges for the situation that happened right here, and for now, while he's incarcerated, other rappers are fighting for the throne of the most buzzing rapper in the Bronx. K-Flock was acting absolutely wild in the streets, but unfortunately for him and other NYC drill rappers like him, unlike cities such as Chicago, where rappers like King Von, Lil Jeff, and Q50 can boast about killing numerous people in their songs and still be seemingly untouchable by the law, this is not the New York of the 80s and 90s when crime was completely out of control in the city. Now, that's not to say that the NYPD doesn't have its own problems when it comes to policing, but for comparison, the worst clearance rate for homicide in New York's boroughs in 2023 was in Brooklyn, that number being 76%, whereas in the Bronx, it was 81%, meaning that 4 out of 5 homicides in the Bronx actually get cleared. Meanwhile, in the entire city of Chicago, this also including the richest and safest neighborhoods, the clearance rate for murders in 2023 was only 52%, whereas in the poorest neighborhoods in the south side of Chicago, such as Chatham, Woodlawn, and Washington Park, where guys like Von, Jeff, and Q50 made their names, only about 20%, or 1 out of 5 homicides, were actually cleared through prosecution between 2019 and 2021. Although to be fair to Chicago, these numbers might have slightly improved since the peak of the COVID lockdowns, which caused a nationwide crime epidemic that brought the clearance rates down pretty much everywhere. But in any case, given the fact that the modern New York law enforcement are in fact rather efficient at solving crimes, at least compared to some other major US cities, it's no surprise that after the Bronx drill artists began gaining visibility for themselves and their gangs in social media, it would only be a matter of time before the law would intervene. And intervene they would, handing out indictments to some of the biggest and most well-known gangs in the Bronx. One of the first major indictments would come on April the 7th, 2022. This indictment was against 20 members of the so-called Drilly Gang, also known as G-Side, who hail from the northwest of the Bronx, more specifically from around the Williamsbridge Oval Park, where they can often be seen hanging out in their music videos. These indicted members, which included guys like the popular rappers Spaz Drilly and Lee Drilly, were being accused of crimes including murders, shootings, and stabbings. The Bronx District Attorney would claim that the gang, which is allegedly a subset of the Sex Money Murder Gang, which on the other hand is part of the United Blood Nation Alliance that includes several East Coast-based blood-affiliated sets such as the 9 Trey Gangsters and G-Shine. They'd allegedly committed 32 acts of violence between 2018 and 2022. This investigation, which would be dubbed Operation Drilly, would uncover some of the most notorious crimes done by the Drilly Gang. The first crime in the indictment covers the stabbing of an 18-year-old CUNY prep student who was stabbed in front of his school. It appears the incident stemmed from a dispute when a group of men approached the unnamed student demanding his jacket. The second crime detailed in the indictment is the shooting and stabbing murder of 24-year-old James Rivera, whose life was tragically cut short on July the 20th, 2020. According to gunmemorial.org, James, who also went by Jamie, had a calm personality and was a father of 3 kids, who are sadly going to be forever affected by this senseless violence. According to the indictment, the Drillies were not only putting in work in the streets, as it's also alleged that the members were still also putting in work behind the wall in jails and prisons, with one claim that 3 Drilly members had assaulted a rival gang member whilst incarcerated at the notorious Rikers Island prison. Then, on March the 17th, 2021, 4 Drilly members reportedly went to an apartment complex on Hull Avenue, located in the Drillies' hood, where a gun was shot at 20-year-old Delilah Vasquez at close range, ultimately killing her.
A family is devastated after the loss of their 20-year-old daughter. Delilah Vasquez was found shot in the head in a Norwood apartment earlier this month. News 12's Jericho Tran speaks with Vasquez's mother, who says her death could have been avoided.
On Wednesday, March 17th at 9:30 in the evening, Cynthia Duffy received an anonymous call saying her daughter had been shot.
Literally, these people tricked me for over an hour to look for my daughter downstairs, and she was upstairs the whole time.
Frantically searching for her daughter, Duffy called the police, but no reports were made at that time.
Then that same number calls me back while we're with the police 40 minutes later, and they're like, Delilah's in apartment 3A and she's dying, and hangs up. So now the cops believed me. Now they thought I was telling the truth.
Vasquez was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead.
We could have saved her. She was strong. She got shot at 9:30. She died at 11:59. 11:59. She's strong. She could have survived.
Friends and family gathered at the Woodlawn Cemetery on Saturday to remember Delilah, who left behind 2 younger siblings.
Feeling really sad, and I really miss her, and I just can't believe that what happened to her.
The devastating loss now accompanied by harassment from the people Duffy believes were involved in her daughter's death.
It's dangerous for me and my family. I'm not in that apartment no more. I packed everything because I'm scared for my life. because people involved in this are contacting me.
Now, police believe the shooting was gang-related and 2 arrests have been made in connection to Vasquez's death. 20-year-old Precious Williams and a 16-year-old boy, both facing drugs and weapons charges. Now, friends and family are urging anyone with information in connection to her death to come forward and call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS.
Despite the arrest and the indictment, it's still seemingly not clear why Delilah was shot, and some Redditors in the New York State of Mind subreddit seem to believe she was killed by accident after a gun went off and shot her in the head, saying that Delilah herself was allegedly affiliated with the Drilly gang. Either way, her death would sadly live forever in the lyrics of disrespectful drill songs. Only 2 months after her death, OG's rappers Shah EK and Blockwork would release their song D&D, which stands for Dummy and Delilah, 2 Drilly members who lost their lives far before their time. In the chorus of the song, Blockwork would rap "Might blow like TNT," that's a D&D. But it's Shah EK who would offer the most disrespectful line, starting off his verse by letting it known that he has a lot of ops he can smoke, but he would rather smoke on Delilah. Even Lil TJ would hop on this trend, dropping a snippet where he says that he smokes Delilah whilst taking other drugs in an attempt to boost his high. This is because Lil TJ is actually affiliated with a gang called Slattery Boys, named after Slattery Park, located on 183rd and Valentine, who actually beef with the Drilly gang. Although these disses towards the Drillies are coming from their ops, the indictment would point out the fact that Drilly members would also boast about their crimes in music. It was obvious that the DA was fed up with all of the senseless violence going on in the borough, and particularly the shameless boasting about that violence, which was making local law enforcement look pretty bad. And only a month after the Drilly indictment, another gang would be handed a high-profile indictment too. This time, none other than the River Park Towers gang, aka RPT, with 23 of the gang's alleged members, including the rapper D-Thang himself, actually getting hit with charges of conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and even more, claiming that amongst other crimes, members of the gangs had sent 11 shots into a building, barely missing the head of their intended target. One of the weirder crimes that the gang was charged with was actually animal cruelty. During a live stream that one of the members was filming, a pigeon would fly nearby, which they would compare to a crip. And that's when one defendant would say that if they get 100 views, they would kill the bird. And once they reached that goal, the members would then indeed beat that bird to death with a cane, whilst capturing the absurdity of it all for the world to see. The Bronx County DA, Denise Clark, would also comment how the gang committed 6 shootings, showing complete disregard for anybody's life, adding that she's calling on rappers from the Bronx to stop using music to encourage shootings and to instead use it to better the community. But in early 2023, the law enforcement would keep going hard after the Bronx drill rappers, only this time it would be the feds, who would first in January charge 2 members of a gang called Third Side, located on 183rd next to the Bronx Zoo, with a racketeering conspiracy, aka a RICO case. One of these alleged members would be a rapper called Zay Munna, whose old videos included cameos from K-Flock, showing just how close these 2 sets were, at least at the time. Indeed, the next month in February, K-Flock's situation would also go from bad to worse, when he and 6 other co-conspirators would be hit with federal racketeering charges for their alleged participation in Sevside, aka DOA, which the feds consider a criminal organization closely affiliated with the Third Side. Besides the alleged murder of Oscar Hernandez, aka Walker, K and his accomplices would also be accused of numerous other crimes, such as shooting up rival gang members in November 2021 near the River Park Towers where D-Thang's YG's faction RPT operate. While some could argue that K has a decent case to be made that he shot Walker in self-defense, fighting RICO charges against the feds will likely turn out to be a challenge that K won't be able to overcome. Unfortunately, while the Bronx DA and the feds were taking a hardline stance against the gangs, and particularly drill rappers in the Bronx who were attempting to gain fame and money from boasting about their crimes and disrespecting their ops in their music, and the violence wouldn't stop, and the disrespect in the music would only become worse. After the tragic death of one aspiring drill rapper, we would see for the first time that disrespecting the dead could become a national and even global dance phenomenon. Things have gotten to a point in New York that numerous subreddits have popped up to follow the combination of music and true crime that the drill scene provides. One subreddit in particular focused on the Bronx drill scene has dubbed the borough Bronxganistan, drawing a comparison to a Middle Eastern conflict zone like Afghanistan, following a trend set by Chicago, which since the early drill scene has been given the nickname Chirac, this of course being a mixture of Chicago and Iraq. The popular subreddit focused on the Chicago drill scene, thus getting its name Chiracology. In the midst of this landscape, new young drill artists like Didi Osama, born David Deshaun Reyes, have emerged. Didi was one of 6 siblings, and 2 of his brothers are also rappers, rapping under the names J-Star Baller and Notti Osama. The brothers were very close, particularly Didi and Notti, who were born only 14 months apart. And after David's brother adopted the name Notti Osama, people began calling David Didi Osama.
You know, I see the name. You know, where did that come from? Your brother got Notti Osama, you Didi Osama.
He just said it.
Yeah.
My name gonna be Notti Osama. So yeah, that's my name too. You talking about? It's my name too. Like my Didi Osama. We big old, so we all shamas.
Their mother worked in real estate whilst the children's father was absent, and while Didi and Notti didn't grow up in the Bronx, they were located very close by, just across the Harlem River from South Bronx, in the Harlem neighborhood of Sugar Hill, like on the 149th Street where Notti and Didi can be seen in one of their music videos. Sugar Hill is a neighborhood with a deep African-American history, known for being a cultural and intellectual hub during the Harlem Renaissance of the early 20th century, which attracted prominent African-American figures like the academic W.E.B. Webb Du Bois, pianist and composer Duke Ellington, and lawyer Thurgood Marshall, who made significant contributions to art, literature, and politics, as well as becoming the Supreme Court's first African-American justice. Thus, Sugar Hill became a symbol of black achievement and success, reflected in its name, which suggested a sweet and prosperous life. Nowadays, Sugar Hill is also a gang name that members from the neighborhood use, whilst also repping OY, or the Original Young'uns, a gang founded in Sugar Hill in the mid-2000s. Rap was always a big part of the brothers' lives, particularly Notti's, who actually begun rapping first, dropping his debut track in 2019 when he was only 11 years old. His old tracks are still available on SoundCloud, and in them you can tell that Notti was still new to rapping. Not long after Notti begun rapping, both brothers would also hop off the porch and get active in the streets. In fact, Didi and Notti both reportedly followed in their older brother J-Star Baller's footsteps and begun repping the OY gang of their area. In a later interview, Didi would explain how his brothers influenced him to rap.
Brothers, really, my heart, Notti, my turn, my soul.
Yeah, he's your younger brother, right?
Yeah, my younger brother.
Gotcha.
My heart, and J-Star, really.
Right.
Sweet, right.
So he started rapping before you, or you started rapping?
Yeah, Notti and J-Star started rapping before me.
Old videos circulate on places like Reddit, where their big brother films young Didi and Notti throwing up gang signs associated with the Mac Baller Gang, which is a Bronx-orientated, blood-affiliated gang set started in the early 2000s, which is nowadays one of the most common gangs that people rep in New York, including some members of the OYs.
Yo, you know we got the little gang, alright? Yeah. Yo, what's that? What's that, little homie? What you talking about? What that mean?
The OYs were formed after the splitting of a bigger gang called the Young Gunners, or YGs. The YGs were allegedly formed by a man named Jew Heth, real name Jutha Perez, together with some other original members in the mid-2000s. According to some sources, the gang first began operating in the Mott Haven houses, one of the many public housing projects in the Mott Haven neighborhood in the South Bronx. Also in the Patterson Houses projects, which are located in Mott Haven, Patterson being one of the largest public housing projects in New York City. Other sets would then follow in other projects in the Bronx, such as the River Park Towers, and eventually also in Sugar Hill in Harlem, where they would call themselves the YGFS, or Young Gunners from Sugar Hill. But due to some internal politics, Sugar Hill stopped claiming the gang and formed a new gang called Original Young Gunners, or OYGs for short. This was later shortened to the Original Young'uns, or OYs for short. Sugar Hill, or the OYs, have beef all over the city, with gangs like K-Flock's Sevside, D-Thang's River Park Towers, and many more. But some of their most violent feuds are with the sets claiming YGs from the Bronx, like RPT and Mott Haven, also known as the Have, or 43rd. This beef is the OYs' oldest, and began when they separated themselves from the YGs. Some fans have even speculated that this beef is older than most of the rappers currently involved in it. An example of YG's and OY's beef turning deadly is the death of Wu Lotti from Mott Haven, who was a good friend of D-Thang. Allegedly, Wu Lotti was lurking for ops in Sugar Hill with a couple of other YGs, including a very popular rapper, Shahjeez, when suddenly a car full of OYs from Sugar Hill pulled up, and inside that car was allegedly members that went by the names Dolo Kev, OY Rundown, Sugar Hill Smokey, and Run It Up AT. The men hopped out and begun chasing Wu Lotti and his friends. Wu then allegedly tragically tripped and was then beaten and stabbed, which ultimately took his life. The attackers actually filmed themselves chasing Wu, with the video even showing them catching him on the ground and beginning to beat him.
Stop running, Wu Lotti! Come here, Wu!
Wu's death is probably one of the most mentioned deaths in the New York drill scene because he was so beloved by the YGs, as well as being really hated by his enemies. Notti was actually one of the many rappers who dissed Wu Lotti and Shahjeez for being present that day, particularly in his song Deadly, where he raps the truly brutal bars going at Shahjeez and referencing the Lotti murder. This death, along with the disses that came with it, would be a major part of the beef in the months that followed, and a lot of Sugar Hill's other beefs were also started in recent years, most of these being seemingly over petty stuff, such as Sugar Hill's beef with Sevside, as initially these two gangs were cool, with E.Baby, Sugar Hill's biggest rapper at the time, often chilling with K-Flock himself. But after E. went live with Sevside's ops, a member called Lotti from RPT, Sevside would begin dissing him.
Yo, ready for one part 2 out now? I'm promoting. What you talking about? I told you this. Yo, bro, nah, what the? This 300 views. You a lot of you know.
D-Thang's Facebook post from the next day would show that he too clearly wasn't happy with his RPT friend hanging with a Sugar Hill member. The OYs and Sevside kept dissing each other, and it all escalated into K-Flock famously killing Waska from Sugar Hill. Another Sugar Hill beef that needlessly began recently was their beef with a gang called the OGs. Another gang started in the early to mid 2000s, allegedly by a man called Melly Mel Baller, this gang being another split off from the YGs who hail from the large projects in the Bronx, like the Melrose Houses, Jackson Houses, and Morrisana Air Rights, also known as the Vietnam Projects due to its violent reputation. In 2020, the OYs linked up with the OGs, forming an alliance called the OYOGs. The alliance appeared strong, and the OYOGs rappers like Shari K and Didi Osama completely dominated the New York drill scene in 2022 after K-Flock got locked up for the murder of Waska. With their music videos gathering millions of views, the OYOGs alliance led to more beef for Sugar Hill. Shari K, the OG's biggest rapper, would have a falling out with his ex-manager Big KVH, but despite the fallout, KVH would allegedly post a video pretending to still be managing Shah. This naturally annoyed Shah, who then went live dissing him.
Anybody is familiar with him, you feel me? Then is doing $1 million every week. He signed to me. You feel me?
How you on live lying? So I'm gonna just let it keep playing so all the didn't see it.
I got one of the biggest artists right now signed to me. You feel me? Coming out of New York City. His name is Shot EK. If anybody is familiar with him, you feel me? Is doing $1 million every week. He signed to me. You feel me?
That shit dirty, gang. It's over for him. Ain't gonna lie, bro. A lot of niggas doing funny shit. Y'all not lining up. You're not doing nothing. I don't want to get, I'm saying, laughing, texting me, none of that. My mans. A lot of my mans not doing nothing. Gangster. I'm Jack K. What am I dead? My body. See me, be on that. Every job I see now, I'm on. I don't care. I'm the little bro.
This beef would then broaden to also involve artists that KVH still managed, such as Brooklyn-based rap group 41, with rappers like Kyle Rich, who would take it to Instagram dissing Shah, saying Shah's old manager paid for all of his hits. D-Bills, another 41 affiliate, would then drop a track called OG's K alongside the rapper Blockwork. This song, being called OG's K, was a diss not just to Shah, but the whole gang. In it, D-Blitz would call Shari K a and claim that he doesn't have any money, while Blockwork would use his verse to claim that he's OG's K, meaning an OG's killer. This led to the OYs getting involved, as they naturally picked the OG's side. Notti, Didi, and other OYs would then drop a track titled 41K. Whilst this beef wouldn't lead to much violence in the streets, the OYs beef with 41 would later become very important in the story of Notti Osama, as the track 41K would really cement Notti as being extremely disrespectful. While his other tracks weren't free of disses by any means, this one took it to another level. In the song, Notti disses Lil TJ's dead best friend Smelly, calling him a who got killed for a bike. Apparently in 2016, Smelly sold a bike to a civilian, but later that day, he decided he wanted it back. Smelly, along with a couple of friends, then allegedly tried to take the bike back, starting a fight, which would end up with the civilian stabbing Smelly to death. Apparently Lil TJ was even there when this went down, and he would actually rap about this incident in his song No Escape from his True to Myself album, saying how he wished he could go back to that date because his friend would still be here. Sadly, Smelly wasn't the only dead op that Notti had dissed in 41K, as he would also take shots at dead YG's member Rajiz, saying they gonna do someone like Ra and leave him slumped in the whip. The meaning of this diss goes back to the summer of 2021, when the gang war in the Bronx was getting extremely heated, leading to several teenagers getting killed in just a few days' time. July the 7th, a 19-year-old aspiring rapper called Ty Swish, real name Tyquil Doherty, was fatally shot in the head. According to some news sources, one boy at the scene of the crime was a 13-year-old named Jarian Elliott, also known as J-Rip K, allegedly affiliated with Sevside. 4 days later, on July the 11th, J-Rip was shot and killed in broad daylight. Two boys were charged with the murder, 16-year-old Jahil Khalif and 18-year-old Justin Bays, and the police would state that the murder was revenge for the killing of Ty Swish. But later that very same day, around 11:30 PM, Rajiz, an 800 member, was sitting in a taxi, which would slow down to stop in traffic when suddenly two people on a scooter sped by and shot Ra in the head at point-blank range, killing him. Again, this murder was captured on camera. In the video, you can see Ra fall over to the side after being shot, which is what Notti would refer to when he said he would leave someone slumped in the whip like Ra. Once again, the murder was considered to be revenge killing, this time for the murder of J-Rip. Another important incident happened shortly before Notti's death, which was when a member of a gang called 700 from Washington Heights was jumped in broad daylight by OY members, with Didi even posting the incident to his Instagram stories. But, as it would later turn out, this member would allegedly end up being the very person that would eventually take Notti's life.
Oh, nah. Yo.
On July the 9th, 2022, Notti Osama's street activity and dissing would finally catch up to him. At about 2 PM, Notti would leave Didi to meet two friends.
That's why I said, like, real shit. Still thinking, like, what if I stayed? Like, if I was just stayed with no time, He'll really be here today, no cap.
At 3 p.m, Notti and the two friends were walking at 137th and Broadway when they allegedly spotted the same member of 700, this member allegedly being a 15-year-old called K-Dot. Real name, Kelvin Martinez. They would follow him into a subway station. Notti would actually grab a broom, and he, along with his two friends, would corner K-Dot. They began attacking him before K-Dot actually pulled out a knife and stabbed Notti in the liver. Notti's friend then seemingly stabbed K-Dot with a sharp object before Notti actually pushed K-Dot onto the train tracks, but he was able to get up and escape before he was hurt, whilst Notti would unfortunately collapse on the subway staircase due to the stabbing and later pass away from his injuries. K-Dot was taken to hospital with injuries to his back and 2 puncture wounds to his hip, whilst K-Dot's mother then brought him to the NYPD later that day, and he was charged with second-degree murder, which the prosecutor would later change to first-degree manslaughter, but the charges would eventually be dropped. Unfortunately, a video of Notti's body being carried out the subway station was posted to social media, but is far too grisly to show you on YouTube. The local news would also report on the murder, capturing scenes of the police combing the crime scene with the subway station taped off.
14-year-old boy has died after being stabbed on the platform of a 1 train in Hamilton Heights. Police say it happened after some kind of altercation, and his attacker is still on the run.
Police say the 14-year-old victim was on the northbound platform inside the 137th Street City College train station when he was stabbed once in the abdomen.
Now, when I was in New York, I actually went to the location where Notti lost his life, and I'll be honest with you, it was chilling. It was very sad to imagine the events unfolding and just this tragic loss of life, you know, this very dark and negative energy between those young men that were caught up there that day. So I'm going to show you something that I recorded when I visited that location, and then we're going to continue with the story.
I'm here at 137th Street, City College Station, and this is the location where a young rapper by the name of Notti Osama was unfortunately stabbed to death at just age 14. And in the months that followed, he went on to be mocked mercilessly by his rivals in the New York drill scene, just going to show you how brutal this game could really get.
Since the incident, K-Dot has allegedly been making music under the artist name K-Dot Keep Clicking, dissing Notti in his music and on social media on numerous occasions. In his song Circus Part 2, he would rap about how he was looking for OYs to leave him on the steps, referencing how Notti would collapse by the stairway and how his dead body was then carried up the steps on camera. But the much more famous diss towards Notti would come from the 41 group, whom Notti had beefed with earlier, even making the song 41K. As in October 2022, the group's rappers Kyle Rich, Tartar, and Jen Carter dropped their now infamous song titled Notti Bop. The song's lyrics were wall-to-wall filled with highly disrespectful bars about Notti, but it was the dance that the trio would do in the music video that really hurt people's feelings. Kyle Rich would describe this in the chorus, rapping how he's Notti bopping, punching his hips, with the dance actually being doing a stabbing motion from hip to hip. The music video essentially recreating the murder of Notti with a dance. The music video would soon get removed from YouTube, perhaps due to a copyright claim, as the song's beat uses a sample from the 2000s kids animated musical show The Backyardigans, or perhaps due to the song's subject matter. Wouldn't surprise me if it was taken down for violating some kind of policy on bullying. However, it was soon re-uploaded by other YouTube channels. The song, and particularly the dance associated with it, would blow up on TikTok, and soon everyone from teachers to cops to even NBA players were actually doing that dance, and not even knowing the disturbing background behind it. This brought a huge amount of attention to both Kyle Rich and his 41 group, but also Notti's brother Didi Osama, who would also drop songs like Dead Ops, which also included a verse from his brother only a few days after Notti's death. The music video now having almost 30 million views. Meanwhile, after Notti Bop would go viral, the OYs actually fell out with the gang that they had followed into the beef with 41 in the first place, the OGs. Originally, after the Notti Bop came out, Shah EK would say that he's beating anybody that he sees doing the Notti Bop, but at the beginning of 2023, Shah himself would post a TikTok doing the Notti Bop, with the caption of the video being, "When we heard their smoke and are dead." This left fans speculating that people from Sugar Hill had actually been sneak dissing dead OGs members. Not long after this, rapper Lefty Goon from the OGs would get on live and explain what had happened. According to him, OYs were chilling with people who were dissing Shah EK and his gang.
Niggas that smoking are dead. And it's a couple over there that's not even checking them, and y'all still glazing them.
This was seemingly true, as a Sugar Hill member was on live with a member from the Cortland gang from the South Bronx, and Cortland had been dissing a guy called Diddy, a dead OGs member. Shah EK and Lefty then joined the live to confront the Sugar Hill member.
Like you super crazy though.
Bro, you not crazy. Bro, what?
Why you say how niggas sucking Diddy and Yellow? You
And y'all jack. Y'all niggas jack.
You tracking that?
If you
tracking
niggas that smoking, bro, niggas
you tracking that?
When I was like get off my.
That smoking Diddy and Yellow, you said, yeah, you said, yeah, talk your
shit.
Let's link up.
The fuck, I was never, like, niggas linked up with them. Run them. Alright, look, come to the block right now, bro.
But why y'all sucking? Why y'all sucking it? Why y'all sucking it? What y'all talking about? Go over here. Y'all not even link that put on. We gonna bring it to y'all. Put them out there. Stop. What am I dead, dog?
Although they were once all cool with each other, after Shah EK did the Notti bop, there was really no going back. The older brother of Notti and Didi, J-Star Baller, would then confirm that bridges were burnt by going on live and dissing 3 dead OGs members.
I know why they really mad. Yellow, Diddy, Noah. We lucky I can't smoke on this plane right now.
Didi would also go ahead and post that he was OG's K, confirming that the alliance was indeed dead. The internet beef would soon become very real in the streets too, when Shah EK and other OGs would press a Sugar Hill member called YFT Sensei.
Close. Be media. Be media. Eyes closed. Look, why you running? He about to run. You.
Now at this point, it was pretty much the OYs versus the whole city. The tensions were rising, and some of the older rappers in the game would try and calm down the situation. Young Costamado and Fabio Foreign urged 41 and Didi to squash their beef, pointing out that despite the tensions, no one had actually been harmed so far. Both groups had actually found success in music because of the rivalry, making it the perfect time to let it go and focus on their careers.
Didi, Osama, and 41 have been told by Young Costamado to end their beef after he posted a message to them on his story. He said that they all came up off it and that nobody got hurt since their beef was ignited. Fabio Foreign reposted it on his story as well, and then proceeded to upload a picture of him and Glorilla performing the popular ritual of dropping the rake. Glorilla then hopped on Facebook, typical, and made a statement saying that Fabio just told her to throw up his game. At this point, Fabio might as well drop an alphabet remix that goes ABCDFGDK. He has 2 more years to keep up with these type of shenanigans before we start treating him like Nicki Minaj's husband. Anyways, Kyle Rich responded, and he seems like he has no intentions of deading that beef with the OI. Little DD responded and is on the same timing as Kyle.
But unfortunately, this would do seemingly little to ease the tensions, and the dissing of Notti wouldn't only remain online, with an OG's member even dissing Notti in front of Didi at the airport.
Yo, Osama, copping in the airport, smoking mad naughty, suck my... Smoking your brother, you know what's going on, everything for Wulati, smoking naughty, you not smoking on Wu, pick your brother up, I would've crashed out, you heard? I'm a rapper too, you heard, but I really get active. I don't do what you do, and I'm on that with or without my mother, you heard?
On February the 26th, 2024, the Notti situation would get even worse for Didi, as he would allegedly reach out to work with his op, D-Thang, who is the YG's biggest rapper, perhaps in the hopes of actually getting everyone to focus on making money rather than continuing beefs. But D-Thang would take this as an opportunity to mock Didi and his dead brother, and he proceeded to use the incident as promo for a new track titled Drill Cappers, which referenced the DM in it, asking how is Didi texting and asking him for a feature when he knows that the YGs are smoking his brother, and to be extra petty, he would even use the DM in the cover art for the song. J-Star Baller would claim that it was Didi's social media team who sent the message and not Didi himself, but whoever sent the message didn't matter. The damage was already done to Didi's street credibility. Weeks later, on March the 17th, 2024, Didi would seemingly attempt to re-establish some of that credibility by pressing the controversial kickstreamer Neon, who had hopped on the Notti Bop trend big time, doing the dance numerous times on camera.
Oh, you're from the Bronx? Oh. You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Wait, is it disrespectful to Naughty Bop or no?
Oh, I don't condone in those activities. I'm sorry. I don't smoke on nobody. Yeah.
Okay. 1 second.
Don't drop my shit.
Stay here.
What you said?
Naughty bopping. Punch in my head.
Okay, no. Sorry. We're gonna have to skip you. I'm sorry. Are you? Wait. One question. Stop, please. Stop, please. Wait. One question. Stop.
Neon had a face-to-face with Didi during one of Neon's live stream sessions, but most people would seemingly think that Didi was way too soft on him, considering that Neon seemed to enjoy dissing his dead brother.
Listen, I just want to tell you this, baby boy. You don't know where I come from. You not from the streets, baby boy. You was really a nerd, baby boy. You was really a nerd, baby boy.
Neon would actually seem to be looking around and not paying too much attention to what Didi was saying.
I'm trying to tell you, look at me. Why you not looking at me?
Sorry, my bad.
I'm not trying to say nothing about you, but you not from the streets, baby boy.
Y'all go to the side right here, y'all.
So
y'all go right here. Y'all go to the side.
So come in.
My bad.
Baby boy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, why you not listening?
Sorry, my bad. I'm just nervous, bro. I'm sorry.
However, in the end, Didi would force Neon to apologize to his mother and the rest of his family.
This is one of the beefs I wanted to clear, bro.
For your apology, you could apologize to my mom.
I apologize. What,
I'm sorry, Mama Osama.
I'm sorry, Mama Osama.
I say, I'm sorry, Didi brother.
I'm sorry, Didi's brother.
I say I'm sorry, Didi's sister.
I'm sorry, Didi's sister.
I say I'm sorry, Didi uncle.
I'm sorry, Didi's uncle.
I say I'm sorry, Didi's aunt.
I'm sorry, Didi's
I
aunt.
say I'm sorry, Didi's family.
I'm sorry, Didi's family.
I love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
That was stir right there. That was stir.
Luckily for Neon, things ended there, but for some others, the Notti Bop has had some serious real-life consequences. A Sugar Hill member and friend of Notti called Sugar Hill SB was walking to school a week after the Notti Bop came out, but before he got to school, SB was spotted by a rival who started mocking him about the dance. A fight began, and SB would end up drawing a knife, stabbing the rival in the stomach, but thankfully, that boy survived. Things got so bad to the point where some begun describing Notti as the New York version of Tuka, a now well-known 15-year-old GD from Chicago who was killed in 2011 and went on to be mocked mercilessly in countless Chicago drill songs by the likes of Chief Keef and King Von, and eventually by even rappers who had nothing to do with the gang war in Chicago. The music culture-focused magazine Pitchfork would publish a scathing article that slammed the Notti Bop dance trend titled "The Exploitation of New York Drill Hits a Disturbing New Low," saying that the Notti Bop actually represented the worst of New York drill, as well as comparing the New York drill scene to the original Chicago scene, pointing out that dissing the dead was nothing new in the genre. Yet something about the Notti Bop felt like things were turning for the worst, and that the exploitation was actually getting to be at a breaking point. Shortly thereafter, in January 2024, D-Thang, who had been caught up in the RPT's gang indictment from 2022, would be released from prison.
You know what's going on? You know what's going on? My heart.
And seemingly immediately signed to French Montana's Coke Boys label, as I would cover in one of my YouTube lives. So people, it's finally happened, okay? I was actually very, very excited to see the news coming out of the Bronx that Bronx rapper D-Thang G's from River Park Towers, RPT, my guy. All right, I'm a big fan of D-Thang G's. He's been released from prison, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm surprised. People were saying he was gonna be released, and then people were saying it's cap. But it's actually happened, people. Big D-Thang G's. So they're saying he signed to French Montana immediately after being released from jail. Now that's a good move, I ain't gonna lie. Coming straight out of jail and getting signed to French Montana. Now once released, D-Thang would quickly hop on the Notti Bop trend, releasing his song Cha Cha, which featured the Coke boy himself, French Montana, who is actually from the Mott Haven homes in the South Bronx, as well as his close friend Shah G's. And in the song, D-Thang and Shah G's would go back and forth, mixing the famous Cha Cha slide dance with the now infamous Notti Bop. Shah G's verse in the song is also incredibly disrespectful. He starts the track rapping that he's smoking on E-Dot, a member of the OYs. He would then say that Notti got poked, asking why he didn't run, and interestingly, arguably a response to anyone that had made fun of Shah G's for running from his ops in the past. Now interestingly, I actually did a vlog with Brandon Buckingham in New York, and we actually ended up going to the studio with Shah G's himself, and Shah actually played me this song before it was released. We actually got into a pretty deep conversation about it, as at this point I'd been researching the Notti Bop pretty heavily. I could kind of read between the lines in what he was saying in his lyrics, but not everyone necessarily could understand just how disrespectful he was actually being. So I decided at that point to just gently confront Shah and ask him if he thought he could ever reach a point where he'd actually feel like he could grow out of dissing dead people on songs, because I felt like this was a really important, like a teachable moment to try and actually spread a positive message to a young drill rapper that's actually living this stuff in the moment. I felt like this was just an opportunity for me to actually intervene and maybe give him a little bit of positive reinforcement to draw him away from a potentially devastating scenario in his life. And his response was very interesting. You know, he broke it down to me. He said he understood where I was coming from, but that the really brutal dissing that was aimed at Wu Lottie and him made him feel like he had to get equally disrespectful back. And I do kind of respect that, but take a look at what he said himself and you can be the judge in the comments.
No, so Shah G's has this unreleased song where they sampled the Cha Cha slide.
Bro, this is gonna be crazy. I feel like someone's needed to sample this for like 10, 20, I don't know how long this song's been out, but people have been dying for this. Why has no one done this?
Okay, move to the right. Trilly bop to the left.
They already got the whole dance.
Bop and I poke him up. Hey, turn this up.
Bro, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Do you, like, bro, keep it real with you, though. Do you feel like maybe the Notti Bop's a little too much? I don't know.
I ain't gonna lie.
For a song that's gonna be a hit.
I should have said Notti Bop one time, Notti Bop two times.
Bro, it's your art, innit? But I just feel like I almost just want to ask the question because it's almost like you're clearly as smart when it comes to your art and your writing, and you've created a song here that, like, bro, I could see like some grandparents dancing to this. You know what I mean? But it's just sometimes it's like some of that. Like, does that feel like if people know the story, like they might be kind of like, damn, like, because it's almost like when that dance first came out, it was like super viral, but then, you know, it's almost like you're kind of bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? You ever feel like that?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like saying his name like fake too crazy, but like it like
You should have seen the little snippet they posted the other day, but I don't want to post it, right? I don't want to, for me, put it, but I ain't gonna lie, the other day, even before, when we had this, they just violated the other day, like the other day, like, they violated, like, they put like a little snippet, try to be funny and shit, so when this drop, I don't really care about nobody. I know it's gonna go up. They got no choice but to play it on the radio. Like that's gonna go too viral. Like,
but the thing is, that's the thing, bro. Like you're living it. You're going through that. You got people that are dissing you. So if that's your art and that's your expression, you got to do it your way. But it's almost like it just makes you want to ask the question. You clearly know how to make a hit record now, right? Like you've had songs you're getting hundreds of millions of views on, right? But like, you know how to make a hit record. Could you imagine getting to a place in your career where you feel like you could do the music and just not even worry about the dissing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, like fake after this song type shit. Recent songs that I had dropped, I ain't really been dissing. So like, I feel like this probably the only song right now out of 2024 that I got really as dissing. Cause I ain't like a couple of songs that I got unreleased, not really dissing. Like they more of like on some calm shit. Talk about for me like the females, the money and the shit.
I feel like the song you just played me, bro, like the way that it's just like a hit and it's fun, like you dancing and you being yourself, bro. I feel like when people get to know your personality, like you're gonna just keep rising so fast, because I feel like people get to know you like that, bro. I'm trying to just hear more, bro. That was so vibe. Honestly, bro, that was just so hard, man. Honestly, sick. A month after that song, D-Thang and Sharjeez would collab again on the remix of Swing It by Von Off 1700, and in the track, D-Thang would rap about E-Dot, saying that he did it to himself. He would also say that Notti died, dissing with his twin, meeting Didi. Sharjeez would also diss the murdered 13-year-old J Rip, who was allegedly affiliated with Sevside, saying how he got shot and he was screaming like he needed help. Notti dissing was also nothing new for Sharjeez, as he's been dissing Notti relentlessly for some time now, like in his more recent song OYK, where the music video starts off with one of Sharjeez's associates seemingly calling Notti on the phone, while Shah would start his verse off by saying Notti went out and asking why his brother Didi has Shah's name in his mouth, as well as saying that a YG's member called Nesty is going to do the ops like Notti. Unfortunately, the Notti bop was just one of several dark trends to emerge from this New York gang war, as rapper D Bills, who is closely affiliated with the rap group 41, linked up with Kyle Rich alongside brothers KJ Swervo and Kai Swervo to drop their new song Beckham. This song is undoubtedly a hit, as on TikTok there are over 268,000 posts using this song, but more specifically, opening lines of this song that are typically used in the TikTok videos where D Bills raps, Ray Mack got hit in the back of his melon. The song's anthemic sound would inspire people to pair this part of the song with simple dance moves, like showing them beating their chests or running in slow motion, but little do most of these creators know that this trend has a very dark undertone to it, as Ray Mack, also known as Ray Piz, is in fact a very real person who ultimately lost his life in a senseless act of violence. Ray Mack was from RV or RVTL gang, who were mainly located in the Roosevelt Houses projects in Brooklyn. After his death, members of his set actually made a tribute song to him titled Forever Ray Piz. Allegedly, Ray's RV gang is known to beef with the 4100 block, which D Bills and Kyle Rich rep, and the rumors and lyrics surrounding his death suggest that he was set up or backdoored, which is something that the 41 rappers would make fun of relentlessly in their song, with KJ Swervo rapping that Ray Mack died on some backdoor stuff, and later in the song, Kai Swervo would also say that Ray Mack was lined up trying to link with a smoochie, slang term for a girl, which has a similar undertone as the famous Chicago slang term thought. Kyle Rich would also join in on the disrespect towards Ray Mack, simply saying that this is what the Ray Mack do, but sadly, this trend is only picking up steam, especially after someone posted a video of Rick Ross dancing with the song edited into the background. Obviously, this trend went far outside the city of New York, eventually reaching Chicago artist Von Off 1700, who would actually show love for the song, leading to Ray Mack's friend Siggy Sev being clearly unhappy about this, and ultimately hopping on Instagram Live with Von Off 1700, with the two going back and forth, and Siggy Sev eventually banning Von Off 1700 from New York.
The whole world singing this song. How you mad I sung it though?
New York not, yo. The New York not going that crazy. That's what I'm saying. The town not going crazy. You just outside looking in, trying to get cool or whatever you doing. Like, come on, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, that's a hit though. He
could be cool, but listen, my real ops not playing like that. You
hey,
got
he saying
y'all,
listen, you know, about your ops. Look, my ops be dying. So one just died the other day. Hit the melon. Look, on my dead homie, one of them just got hit in the melon. So I don't really give a about what Ray Mack got going on with the internet. I'm gonna keep singing the song. I'm gonna keep singing the song. I'm gonna keep coming to New York. I gotta
not come back to New York.
Look, they said you can't even ban me from New York.
A few moments later, Von would set down his phone to sing the lyrics to Beckham whilst hitting a New York drill-inspired dance move.
New York, right? Come to New York.
We came with the fellas.
Come on, that's clown shit. You doing clown shit, man. You doing clown.
Von would then tell Siggy Sev to go get back for Ray Mack before flexing money on him.
Sound good, man. Like,
But you should be trying to go get back for Ray Mack, but you arguing.
that they kill him.
Look, do you matter who killed him? Go kill everybody.
The day after this Instagram Live, Siggy Sev would do an interview with P Films, where he would explain why he went off on Von.
Siggy, you get on live with him. You know, I guess you didn't appreciate what he was doing. Now, what was the thoughts when you seen him do what he did?
Bro, like when I seen that, I wasn't even gonna react, honestly, for me. But it just, he was going mad hard with it. Like he was going too crazy. Like, you talking on, bro. Like, you obviously know the situation, so you asking, why you worrying about what we got going on? Like, you all the way in Chicago for me. Yeah. And you worrying about what's going on in New York, gang. Like, we not even, like, we don't even know your ops. We don't even know nothing about you, gang. Like, we just know you rapping, bro. Like, you riding the ops, gang. Like, who do that, gang?
Siggy also clarified that him banning Von from New York probably won't stop him from going to studios, but he won't dare step foot in the streets.
The whole band is like, bro, he know what's up, bro. I'm from Brooklyn, gang. For me, I'm from Brooklyn, bro. You know what's up, bro. Not coming over here, dropping location, really there, doing that, bro.
Pull up and fuck
Nick, bro, for me, he's in the door, so it's like, Nick, don't come to studios, and for me, like, yo, bro, like, Nick, oh, yes, bro, like, let's not act crazy, like, not going, yeah, for me, but not gonna really touch the towns. And
eventually D-Bills would drop a remix to this song Beckham, which actually featured Von off 1700. In Von's verse, he would flex the fact that he was in New York after Siggy Sev told him that he was banned. A few lines later, he would also diss Ray Mack, saying F Ray Mack and telling him to eat a Frank, this being a reference or a Frankfurter sausage. It's kind of sad because, joking aside and dissing aside, music is clearly a true calling for some of these talented young men. However, at its core, this is murder music, and ultimately it would be tragic to keep seeing young men losing their lives to senseless street violence that surrounds the genre of New York drill rap. Whilst many of these rappers are often extremely young themselves, the truth is that an even younger, more impressionable generation is watching closely, listening to every word and observing every move, just like the current New York City rappers would do with the original Chicago drill scene when they were younger. Like D-Thang G's, whose artist name is actually an homage to Chicago drill, where there have been at least 2 famous gang members affiliated with Chicago drill called D-Thang, one who founded the infamous 600 set and the other being Lil Durk's late brother OTF D-Thang. This name apparently being given to D-Thang G's by his friend who is actually a big fan of Chicago drill.
So how did you come up with the name D-Thang?
I was young, I was in school. My son, he gave me the name. He fake was naming all of us, but I ain't know like he was naming us over like the Chicago. I ain't know that. After I told him, like years after I got my name in Shamlin and shit, so I'm like, what the f***? Why you gave me that name? He was like, cuz, nigga, Chicago and the gang. Like, oh, you got me, damn. Yeah, that's what he said, but he gave it to me like that.
It's clear that the influence from years of Chicago drill and gang politics left a mark on the modern-day New York drill scene, and this generation that currently hold the crown in the scene themselves most certainly inspire the next generation. But what's truly strange is the fact that these drill rappers are getting younger and younger, from young adults to teenagers, and now pre-teen drill rappers. In New York City, it seems that the drill rappers are getting younger and younger. In fact, there's already a new generation of New York drill rappers coming out who've been heavily influenced by the current generation's heavy disrespect on songs. One of the best known being an only 8-year-old drill rapper by the name of Sugar Hill Glitch, one of the most talked about young rappers in the New York drill scene right now. Unsurprisingly, Glitch hails from the same Sugar Hill neighborhood in Harlem as Notti and Didi Osama, and has made quite a name for himself with his equally aggressive style that you wouldn't expect from such a young kid. But what truly sets him apart is the content of his lyrics. At just 8, Glitch is already rapping about the themes that are dark, violent, and deeply controversial. And despite being so young that he likely hasn't experienced many personal losses to street violence in his short life, he also doesn't shy away from dissing the dead. For example, one of his most infamous tracks, the One Mic freestyle, features lyrics that call out rival crews and mock their deceased members, like rapping how Lottie got poked in the chorus of the song, this referring to Wu Lottie from Mott Haven, the young man who died while sliding in Sugar Hill territory. Glitch then even follows up by making fun of Shah G's for having a seizure, referencing when he had actually had a seizure whilst performing on stage. Remember, this is an 8-year-old kid saying this. Glitch would then continue to diss Notti and other ops in numerous songs, to the point where the owner of the No Jumper YouTube channel, Adam22, a proud father, who would even come out saying that Glitch's parents should be imprisoned for letting their young son rap such outrageous disses. Glitch would actually respond by saying that he doesn't know what to say to that, which indeed makes sense given that this is indeed just an 8-year-old boy.
Are you familiar with somebody named Adam22?
Nah.
So yeah, it's this guy,
Oh yeah, Adam22, yeah.
Yeah, he got the platform. Basically, he was like, he's not fan of you, I would say. You know, he was like,
he was
had a couple comments about you. He was like, oh, he was like, oh, how could his parents let this happen? That why? And he has bloody on the thing, like, why they promoting your music. Do you have any response to him acting like that and saying that stuff?
Why they be promoting my music? I don't got no response. I don't even know what to say.
One of Glitch's most popular songs is called Baby Op Spotters, this being a play on K-Flock's popular track Op Spotters, which also features rappers T-Dot and J-Dot, two young rappers who themselves probably can't be over the age of 10. In the song, the three young boys go back to back disrespecting K-Flock and their other so-called ops, with Glitch rapping that he's coming for K-Flock's spot, as well as saying how the ops are talking about Notti, so they must want to meet him in the afterlife. J-Dot would then begin his verse by saying how he will flock or shoot anyone who tries to run down on him, before rapping how he and Glitch made an op do a flip, another reference to shooting someone, following it up by saying that if his op tries to duck down, he'll shoot up his car. The song is a true testament to the influence of drill music on the younger generations, and sadly, this kind of behavior often doesn't go without real-life consequences, because at the end of 2023, Sugar Hill Glitch actually got ran up on by a man claiming he was OYK, or Original Young and Killer, OY of course being the gang that the Sugar Hill members commonly rep. But luckily, that man just taunted and recorded the young Glitch.
OYK, Glitch, I'm OYK. I'm OYK. I'm OYK. Pay me.
In February 2024, Glitch actually did an interview with Trill Marty, shocking him off the rip by saying that if you play, you lay, before then stating how he's an 8-year-old demon. The vibe of the interview bringing memories from a few years back when a young Lil Tay was causing havoc in these YouTube streets. But in this case, the situation feels much more serious, as Glitch's out-of-control antics online seem much more likely to cause some very serious real-life consequences.
Wait, what?
It's actually go good. Play that you late. You heard me?
Oh! How old is he?
I'm 8.
You 8 years old?
The 8-year-old demon, you heard? Oh!
Glitch's age would also show, as he was not even aware of the original Sugar Hill Gang rap group, who were some of the originators of hip-hop music. This group also being named after the neighborhood in New York that Glitch is from.
No? Never heard of the Sugar Hill Gang? You from Sugar Hill?
Yeah, I am from Sugar Hill.
So what's the Sugar Hill Gang?
Like,
you never heard dun dun jump on it, jump on it, dun 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 jump on it, jump on it. You never heard that?
Nah.
It's a Sugar Hill Gang.
Nah, I never heard of that.
But you from Sugar Hill?
I was born 8 years ago. What you think? I'ma know it?
Later on in the interview, Glitch would reveal that he actually wanted to start rapping after hearing his cousin Sugar Hill D-Dot rap.
So, what made me want to do music? Like, I was listening to my cousin D-Dot, and he inspired
Wait, that's your cousin?
Yeah, he inspired me.
He would also explain how he got his name, saying that it's because he glitches or turns up on anybody that tries to play with him.
So how you got your name Glitch? You're not glitching right now.
Like, I glitch on it if they play with me, and I'm from Sugar Hill.
Trill Marty would even express how crazy it is that Glitch is only 8 and looks like he's about to go on a drill, to which Glitch would respond by throwing up a bunch of gang signs, and explaining to Marty how he's from the O's, meaning the OYs.
You 8 years old, and he look like he about to go on a drill. What is all this sign language stuff he doing?
It ain't sign language. I'm from the O's, right?
On March the 3rd, 2024, Glitch would drop a song with fellow rappers T-Dot, AJ Watts, HB, and Melly G titled Barney, which would sample the iconic Barney Kids Show theme song, mixing it with his disrespectful style of drill rap. In the second line of the song, he disses the dead 13-year-old J-Rip, who is affiliated with Sevside, as well as dissing popular rapper and K-Flock's good friend, B-Love. Glitch's streak of disrespect wouldn't stop there. On July the 24th, 2024, he would drop a live performance of his song Deadly. This song would ramp up the disrespect, with Glitch dissing Lil TJ's fallen friend Smelly in his very first line of the song, saying that he smokes on him, following this up 2 lines later by dissing J-Rip. He would also claim that he will shoot you in the chest if you smoke on Notti, even mentioning Kyle Rich, saying that he can't fight, before saying that if they free K-Flock, he's taking his life. Clearly, Glitch is not showing any signs of slowing down the disrespect, leaving many people wondering if all this dissing will one day catch up to him for real. Unfortunately, Sugar Hill isn't the only gang with super young rappers, as the opposing gangs also have rappers who are kids, such as RJ from a gang called 31st Block in the northern end of the Bronx, who isn't as known as Sugar Hill Glitch, at least yet, but has been consistently dropping music dissing his ops on his social media. For example, in a snippet released on his Instagram page, he can be heard dissing Didi Osama and Notti, saying that Didi was crying when his brother passed. And also in RJ's case, there are already signs that the dissing can easily have some very serious real-life consequences, as on May the 19th, one Reddit user posted a video showing RJ getting pressed in the middle of the street.
You say you jack in hurt you. What am I dead? Alright? That's the way you're doing that. Why are you doing that? Don't say you beat my son Amy, little brother. Don't say you beat none of them. What I don't even hurt you right now. What am I dead?
But luckily, the man didn't hurt the young kid and just simply scared him. But sadly, this warning didn't seemingly faze RJ, and to this day, he's dropping snippet after snippet dissing his ops. He would drop a snippet on June the 27th, where it starts off with someone saying free Zay Munna, who is currently incarcerated due to the now infamous Sevside Rico case. During his verse, RJ would also once again diss Notti. On September the 15th, 2024, he would drop a snippet where he disses J-Dot, the kid who actually featured in the song with Sugar Hill Glitch. In the snippet, he would claim that J-Dot don't be in the town, saying that he's gonna gun him down if he sees him. Admittedly, both Sugar Hill Glitch and RJ are promising rappers, but they're also very young kids who cannot possibly understand the consequences that might come from their lyrics. And while I certainly hope that nothing will happen to either of these young kids, both have already received some real-life warning signs that should make the adults around them think twice before allowing them to continue on the path they're currently on. But to end the video on a more positive note, the Bronx drill scene has also shown that it's capable of fitting into many different molds, with one young woman from the borough in particular showing you don't have to rap about smoking your dead ops to make it to the big time making drill music. As we've seen, the New York drill scene has evolved remarkably over the years, with the streets influencing the genre monumentally. Artists like Fabio Foreign have transitioned from street life to mainstream success, demonstrating how the drill genre can be a pathway to legitimate opportunities and a means to change lives. Fabio's rise to fame shows that it's possible to leave behind past conflicts and focus on building a positive future. Affiliated with the Woos, alliance from Brooklyn where Fabio is from, he was really able to push into the mainstream with songs like Big Drip and Wetty. He would even be featured on Kanye's highly anticipated Donda album, with many people even saying that he actually had the best verse on the album. And like I mentioned before, Fabio's life wasn't always this good, as his connections to the street side of the drill scene run deep. Fabio was born and raised in East Flatbush in Brooklyn, and he actually lived in the same building as the famous GS9 member Rowdy Rebel. Fabio would actually speak with Complex about how the hood changed, with Bobby Shmurda and Rowdy Rebel going hard in the music industry in the mid-2010s. Inspired, Fabio and some of his friends started dropping music under the name 800 Foreign Side. But sadly, the group never gained any serious traction, with some members going to jail while others stopped rapping altogether. Fabio would say that he felt at some point like people just gave up. In 2016, Fabio's mum was in the hospital due to a stroke, and unfortunately she would pass away with him right by her side. In a DJ Vlad interview, he would explain how this didn't just hurt him emotionally, as his mum took care of a lot of his needs, like paying the rent in the house that he stayed in, and ultimately his mother's death would push Fabio into homelessness.
It hit me hard, it hit me crazy, it hit me crazy, like it hurt. Like my mom's, she took care of everything. I did, so when she passed away, like, and then like it was time to like pay the rent, and it was time to do certain things. It was like damn, like I mean, it just like I had to grow up instantly. Like I had to grow up like instantly.
At this time, he would also find out that his girl was pregnant with his baby, something Fabio would actually speak on in a tweet reflecting on his come up with this girl. All of this just put a battery in Fabio's back, and a year and a half later, he would drop his breakout song, Blicky in a Box. Although this song is literally a diss song to an opposing gang, Fabio would later shift his music into more of a positive approach. By 2022, his album Bible releases, which is still rooted in drill, but the difference is the way he talks about his time in the streets. By this point in his mature career, instead of dissing the ops, this album made a much more reminiscent approach, reflecting on how that time had shaped him into the man he is today. On the other hand, if you want a contrast, you could compare him to Lil Mabu, the white drill phenomenon who combines comedy with hard-hitting drill anthems and highlights an interesting aspect of the genre's flexibility. Lil Mabu is clearly not from the streets, but he still finds great success in the genre with his entertaining, humorous, and even self-deprecating rendition of drill music, which usually doesn't hurt anyone and adds a new layer to the genre's narrative. It's a reminder that creativity within this genre can be diverse and expansive, being a place that anyone can make it, not just the street guys. However, although Mabu isn't from the streets, streets, he's gotten himself involved into some street business in the past, as his 6th oldest video on his YouTube channel is a diss song with Shah EK titled Everyone K, which is actually aimed at Yus G's. In it, Lil Mabu would rap asking Yus G's where he was at, "Let me send you a new pair of shades," before then suggesting that Yus G's gets his designer clothes from China and not the actual designer stores. Shah EK would start his verse off by telling the Drillies, who are allied with YG's Mott Haven set, to die, and saying that he's smoking on DND, aka the dead Drilly members Dummy and Delilah, before also dissing Boomer and Benji. This likely meaning a member called Boomer from a Brooklyn-based gang called OMB, and a member called Benji from the McKinley Houses project in the Bronx. Shah EK would then end his verse by saying that if someone throws up G's, he will up his gun and shoot, this diss being aimed at the YGs that Yus is part of. Luckily, while Mabu's whole brand is being a white kid who goes to school and still gets good grades, whilst also supposedly being a demon in the streets as soon as he steps outside, he hasn't resorted to dissing any more street dudes by name, as he likely knows the consequences that can come from what he was doing. And then there's the Bronx's own Ice Spice, whose quick rise to global stardom is nothing short of impressive. She took the distinctive sounds of the Bronx drill scene and made them truly mainstream pop, showcasing the genre's potential to reach far beyond its origins. She began her career by taking one of the most known pages from the Bronx Drill's playbook, using samples from popular songs in her beats. Her first song, No Clarity, sampling the popular 2012 EDM song Clarity by Zedd featuring Foxes, and her second song, Name of Love, sampling the popular 2016 EDM song In the Name of Love by Martin Garrix, but her breakout hit will be the song titled Munch, which, like her other songs before that, was produced by Riot USA, who Ice actually met during her days at university, and it's rumoured that the two are actually dating. Although Munch was on a more generic drill beat, Ice Spice's Bronx slang, and particularly her catchy chorus refrain, "You thought I was feeling you, that dude a Munch," undoubtedly combined with her stunning physical appearance in the song's music video, made Munch an instant hit. And things wouldn't just stop there, as a few months later, UK artist Pink Pantheress dropped her song Boys a Liar Part 2, which featured Ice. This song becoming both of their highest charting songs ever, peaking at number 3 in the Billboard Hot 100, while spending 2 weeks at number 1 on the UK Songs chart. Ice Spice would also feature on the Barbie movie theme song alongside the New York rap legend Nicki Minaj, and that song is even rooted in drill too, and like many popular Bronx drill songs, it again samples a popular song on the beat, of course, Aqua's 90s hit song Barbie Girl. The song is a testament to how far this genre has truly come and how it's crossed so many boundaries to achieve truly mainstream acclaim. However, Ice Spice's meteoric rise to fame didn't come without controversy. Like many new artists who blow up out of nowhere, she would get accused of being an industry plant, a term which basically implies that an artist's success was manufactured by a record label rather than earned through organic growth. In this case, the online consensus seems to be split on whether she is or isn't an industry plant. But either way, Ice Spice has been able to stay at the top of the game for almost 2 years, although in 2024, her career would begin to see a bit of turbulence, as fans noticed that she had lost over 25 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Many would also argue that her debut album Y2K, released in late July 2024, had flopped by selling less than 30,000 in the first week, and then, a few months later, she would start beefing online with her ex-friend, the rapper Cleo Trapper. This all started in September 2024, when the two unfollowed each other on social media. Fans would begin to speculate, with one fan saying that she was about the bag and nothing else, and while replying to the tweet, Cleo Trapper would say that she was played, betrayed, and unpaid. Later that day, Cleo would post a TikTok where she accused Ice of being a fake friend, also saying that Ice would only hang out with her to roll out her music.
But it was just like, even the basketball game, it was like one day later, she's like dropping a song. It's like every time she's like inviting me out, because we never chilled on some like chill shit, bro. Like it was never like just some chill. It was always like in the blogs the next day and the song is dropping too. So it was like, what? This girl kind of uses me for her rollouts.
Ice would respond to the claims whilst chatting with fans on Twitter Spaces by basically calling Cleo ungrateful and saying that she didn't need to share her stage with her. Cleo would then post another TikTok where she claims that she was Ice's token black friend. But if this wasn't bad enough for Ice's public perception, around this same time, the streamer Tylil would have Ice as a guest on his stream, during which Tylil wanted to pray with everyone in the room. And right after his prayer, it apparently seemed to many in the public that Ice would make the devil horn symbol with her fingers.
I'm gonna just say this prayer so the Lord can protect us as we go through the rest of the night and the rest of our careers. You know what I'm saying? So everybody hold hands. Hold hands, hold hands. Lord, thank you so much for bringing this amazing group together right now with this amazing stream and our amazing teams, Lord. We are all from the same place and we are all trying to get to the same place, which is the top. And we all want to experience different things in our lives, chat. So thank you so much for bringing all of us together. And I pray that you allow us to grow on other people, on each other. And I pray that you allow us to reach any measures in this life. And you just watch over us daily. You bless us. You allow us to bless other people with our work and our amazing craft. And you help us enjoy this night. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All of this drama would cause a public uproar, and on October the 5th, it was reported that Ice had lost over 500,000 followers on Instagram. But regardless of the controversies that she was facing, what set Ice Spice apart from many of the other rappers we've discussed in this video is the fact that she managed to benefit from drill music without actually having to be involved in the street life, which arguably showed the world just how far drill music as an idea and as a genre of music can actually go. Nobody had to be harmed for Ice Spice to become a global megastar. She didn't have to do a drill to make drill music, and I would argue that gangsters that turn rappers should stop trying to be gangster when they've actually become artists. As we've unraveled the story of the Bronx drill scene, we've seen how many of these young rappers have become both victims and participants in the cycle of violence that defines these streets. The Bronx drill scene is certainly full of success stories, but it also carries its share of tragedies, offering lessons to both fans and artists alike. For many, drill music is often an outlet, a way to channel their reality into art, but for others, the line between music and the streets becomes dangerously blurred. And unfortunately for the gang-affiliated drill rappers of the Bronx, the New York law enforcement are not letting up, and they've been going after entire gangs by using the RICO Act, a law that was originally designed to take down the mafia, but is now being increasingly used to dismantle the smaller, violent street gangs associated with drill music. And while it's somewhat questionable just how organized these gangs, which are often made up of many members who are just teenagers, actually are, but you can't deny that they're causing havoc in the community. On August the 2nd, 2024, the Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark would announce how she had hit 14 members of a gang called 1300 from the East Bronx with an 88-count indictment. The charges are serious, including 5 counts of attempted murder. And in the DA's press release, the NYPD commissioner would highlight how these arrests serve as a warning to any criminals looking to terrorize their neighborhoods in any way. The DA's office had been building this case for nearly 2 years, using surveillance and even social media posts as evidence. The indictment would come about after the gang brutally attacked an off-duty NYPD officer while he was out jogging. Sparking off the investigation by the Bronx District Attorney's Violent Criminal Enterprise Bureau in collaboration with the NYPD Criminal Enterprise Investigation Section, 3 defendants from the 1300 crew indictment would plead guilty to first-degree assault and additional charges related to the attack. 2 have already been sentenced to 7 years in prison, while the 3rd awaits sentencing, and the entire assault was caught on surveillance footage.
The crew allegedly went on a 6-day robbery spree 2 years ago. They brutally attacked an off-duty officer while he was on a morning jog. This surveillance video shows him outnumbered, taking a beating behind that white SUV.
I have so much pain, in my back, my shoulder, my head.
Pix 11 News spoke exclusively with Officer Mohammed Chaudhry after he was released from the hospital. He was in bad shape then.
His life was shattered, changed forever. He'll never be the same. Never came back full duty.
Also on the 2nd of August, the Bronx DA would announce a second major gang bust, this time concerning the Slaughtery or Slattery gang, who are based near the Slattery playground in the Fordham Heights area. This gang was taken down with a whopping 176-count indictment.
Well, now to an exclusive you'll see only right here on Fox 5.
We were there, and the only TV crew along for what police call the takedown of some of the most violent gang members they've ever seen.
All right, our Lisa Evers joins us now with her exclusive look with the NYPD. Lisa.
Well, Steve and Natasha, we had that firsthand look at how the NYPD is bringing alleged gang members who terrorize their own community to justice. And now the Bronx DA says they've been charged in a 176-count felony indictment.
Nay Benz, police say you're a trigger puller. Police say you're a trigger puller. Is that true? What? Police say you're a trigger puller. Is that?
The Slattery crew, also known by other names like Slaughtery and S Block, allegedly took aim at their main opponents or ops, other young people, for no good reason. Investigators say the hatred is fueled by inflammatory disses about murdered ops and drill raps posted on social media. That's aspiring drill rapper Nay Benz, who police say is one of the gang leaders. The average age of the case subjects is 20. Teen girls are trigger pullers too. Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark announced a 176-count conspiracy indictment against the alleged gang members for everything from attempted murder to robbery and weapons possession. More than a dozen guns were recovered, including some from the takedown.
We're going to stay at this no matter what, no matter how long it takes. We are laser focused on making sure that we keep the public safe.
They are absolutely firing bullets without remorse or regret and without regard
of anybody that's around.
This is one of the most violent crews that I've seen. You made our streets, our communities into a battlefield, and there's no excuse for that.
The charges include 14 separate shootings, multiple counts of robbery, and even a brutal slashing inside the Bronx courthouse. One of the gang members, Phoenix Charlie, also known in the streets as Fee Banger, would boast on Instagram about smuggling scalpels into the courthouse, showing the brazenness of their activities. The indictment also highlighted how the gang used social media to promote violence and mock their enemies, as well as participating in creating drill rap videos where they would brag about their many crimes. As the gang's brazen activities, from shootings to robberies, were not only happening on the streets, but were also openly flaunted on social media, it gave law enforcement ample evidence to build their case against them. There were also rumors on social media that Slattery native Lil TJ, real name Tion Merritt, had actually been named in the federal indictment. But on September the 23rd, 2024, Lil TJ's attorney, Dawn Florio, would actually release a press statement clarifying that TJ had not been indicted, despite several media outlets spreading this rumor. These latest crackdowns on the Bronx gangs serve as a cautionary tale, showing that the authorities are keeping a very close eye on the gangs and are also more than willing to blur the lines between the streets and the studios, treating lyrics and videos as pure evidence of criminal. While drill music continues to dominate the New York rap scene, including the Bronx, and artists continue to gain from it, they should be wary of the spotlight. It's not just the fans that are watching, law enforcement is too, and if you're really committing crimes and letting the whole world know about it, don't be surprised when they knock at your door. In the end, we're just left with a stark reality. The Bronx drill scene is a breeding ground for incredible talent, but it's also a dangerous game. The allure of fame, money, and street cred, which the rappers are willing to chase with increasingly violent and disrespectful, as well as possibly self-incriminating lyrics, come with a price. And for many, that price is either a life behind bars or a premature death. But as we've also covered, there are also examples of other less destructive ways that the drill music scene can lend its irresistibly energetic sound to rappers, allowing them to reach a place where their talent could shine without being overshadowed by tragedy. Only time will tell, but the possibility of a brighter future remains. I'm a huge fan of the New York drill scene, and I truly hope all the young men growing up in these areas we've discussed in this video are able to prosper and overcome that difficult environment. Thanks for watching. Peace out.